Brighton are in their change strip, the all black, and Brighton in this first half will be playing from right to left as the referee, who is Jonathan Moss, gets us underway. And also, and it's a touch of class from Manchester City, their players are wearing black armbands, because I'm sure many of you are aware of the tragic news with Luis Enrique losing his 9-year-old daughter Shana to cancer this week. She sadly passed away. Pep Guardiola, of course, a former teammate, he knows the family very, very well, and as a mark of respect, the Manchester City players are wearing black armbands, and I'm sure everybody in the football world sends their condolences to the Enrique family. So Manchester City against Brighton and Hove Albion, and Ryan will throw the ball out to Dunk, as Byrne mentioned earlier on that he ventures out to this left-hand side. He's done exactly that now. Bernardo's gone on ahead of him, so they've been a little bit brave there, Brighton, and they've given the ball away. Then they'll try and press Manchester City as Laporte opens it up, and Zinchenko will come forward in the sunshine on that far side. Zinchenko looking for the run, and he's picked out David Silva. David Silva to De Bruyne, and Manchester City score in about 70 seconds. They just unpicked the Brighton and Hove Albion defence, and Manchester City, the champions, are already leading by a goal to nil.
What a start from Manchester City. We talked in the build-up how Brighton will be. They were brave, they tried to play out, but straight away got punished. David Silva, great run, he gets into the penalty area on the left-hand side, cool, cultured, pulls it back to Kevin De Bruyne. There he is with his right-footed side-foot finish into the middle of the goal. Great start from City.
And another early goal elsewhere in the Premier League. It's at St James's Park. Juliet Berrington.
And anything Manchester City can do, Watford can do as well, because they've just gone ahead here at Manchester City. Will Hughes getting onto a loose ball and turning into the back of the net. Newcastle 0, Watford 1.
So Newcastle 0, Watford 1. Manchester City are already leading Brighton by a goal to nil. And De Bruyne, well, he could hardly miss after David Silva had done the hard work, making a very good run, wasn't it, to get round the back of the Brighton defence on that left-hand side. There it was with a cutback, and De Bruyne with the simple of tasks. West Bromwich Albion are behind at the Hawthorns in the Championship as Blackburn Rovers have taken the lead. Of course, Tony Mowbray returning to West Brom, and Bradley Dack has given them the lead. So Manchester City are 1-0 up, Watford are 1-0 up at St James's Park, and it could well be a busy Saturday afternoon as we keep you in touch with a whole host of games. And I understand it's been a rather bright start at Selhurst Park 2 for John Southall.
It has. Palace 0, Villa 0, but a chance within 30 seconds for Villa. Jota to Wesley on the right of the area, weak shot straight through to the goalkeeper Guaita, then a deflection off Cahill 6 yards out, and the keeper had to be sharp again. Palace 0, Villa 0.
The thing is about Brighton as well, it all stemmed, if you think about it, for Byrne losing the ball on this near side.
Well, you wouldn't expect the left side of a three being so high in a wing-back position. That's how they've worked on, that's how they've tried to get out to play against this Manchester City side. We know they'll have possession, they keep doing that now, but when you leave that amount of space, these players, David Silva makes the right decisions.
So Kevin De Bruyne with his first of the season, and I'm sure it'll be the first of many in the sky blue of Manchester City this time. Only 6 goals last season, of course, but when you consider the amount of game time he missed with that knee injury, at least 3 months, wasn't it, that De Bruyne, as he brings the ball down and quickly plays it up towards Aguero. And Brighton and Hove Albion, all in black, got to now dust themselves down after conceding that goal after about 70 seconds, as Ryan, all in green, are playing the ball out from the back, are Brighton, so they're certainly not fazed or deterred by losing that goal, as they continue to do so very patiently. Stevens across towards March, and March will wait, and now City just drop off and have everybody back behind the ball, and it's across on that far side, and then it's with Montoya, and the ball played forward by Webster. Stevens will get a little touch as well, and now Dunk will come forward. So Dunk approaches the halfway line. Manchester City drop off, seeing a lot of the ball. Here is Stevens caught in possession again. That was Rodri. That's the danger, isn't it? that transition when you lose the ball.
Well, that's just as you feel like you're getting confidence, and I admire them for playing like this, to take the ball with the confidence, especially going 1-0 down. And that's the difficult thing. Do you keep doing your game plan when you're being caught out? They are doing, they're pressing extremely high now as we speak. And as you said, once you open up against this City side, you've got to be very careful.
Cleared a ball away by Manchester City. Cushion header by Dunk, aimed towards Byrne. All 6'7" of them on this near side. And even Guardiola in his light brown sweater, wearing a black armband as well, high up on his left arm. Ipswich Town are leading Shrewsbury by 1-0. Forest Green Rovers 0, Newport County 1. Newport still unbeaten in League Two. Forest Green have won both of their home games so far, but they are behind. No other early goals to tell you about. It's gone out of play on that far side. City still lead by 1-0. Back to Selhurst Park, John Southall.
Palace 0, Villa 0, but it's all Villa at the moment. Douglas Luiz with a free kick, 23 yards out, just whipped it over the bar. Palace 0, Villa 0.
Walsall are leading Grimsby Town by 1-0. We welcome listeners to the BBC World Service, wherever you may be in the world. Here we are in the northwest of England with the sun shining at the Etihad, and Manchester City have scored for a 31st consecutive time at home in all competitions. The last team to stop them, Huddersfield Town, back in May 2018. Zinchenko carries the ball forward. David Silva, who gets the assist, now back in possession, strokes it back. Manchester City have every outfield player in the Brighton half away towards our right-hand side as Kyle Walker tries to slide it through. That was a sharp turn by Mahrez. Mahrez then runs into trouble, poked away by Bernardo, comes back towards City. De Bruyne tries to slide the ball in low on the right-hand side. Midway through the Brighton half, Kyle Walker now will spread play. Ripple of applause as he picks out Zinchenko in space. Zinchenko's cross dealt with by Dunk, and Stevens now heads up and comes straight into trouble as well. And as a result of that, Brighton lose the ball. Let's check in at Stamford Bridge. Jonathan Oberay.
Lively early exchanges here. Chelsea 0, Sheffield United 0. Abraham almost in. Lovely ball over the top from Emerson. Abraham chested it down, but Jack O'Connell, good last-ditch challenge. 0-0 at the Bridge.
Remember, Watford lead at Newcastle by 1-0. 1-0 here to Manchester City. What was it timed at? 71 seconds for Kevin De Bruyne. Not too shabby that, was it, Michael?
It's a bit slow for Manchester City today. They mustn't have had an early night. 71 seconds.
Northampton Town are leading Plymouth Argyle by 1-0. That's in League Two at Sixfields. Mendy, Rodri, De Bruyne just outside the centre circle. Referee Jonathan Moss did well to jump out of the way of that. David Silva now looks up, floats the ball forward. De Bruyne has made the run. Downward header might come towards Raheem Sterling. There were half appeals for a penalty. It was Dan Burn jumping into the back of Kevin De Bruyne, waved away though by Jonathan Moss. No VAR check as the ball is played away now by Brighton. They've worked it nicely. Trossard on this left-hand side with the cross cut out by Otamendi, kept in play by Trossard, plays it down the line by Bernardo. They're still bright and enterprising when they get the ball into the penalty area towards Mopé, hooked clear over his head by Zinchenko. Well, they haven't seemed to alter their style of play, Brighton, have they, the way that we've 7 minutes in?
Very ambitious. You can see the runners, they're trying to get in key areas there. Bernardo getting down the left-hand side for Brighton, putting a crossover, caused a bit of confusion for Laporte and Otamendi, but they dealt with it in the end. No, it's nice to see. They want to keep making things happen. You can see Manchester City are a little bit concerned. Kyle Walker drifting inside, Zinchenko trying to stop the counter-attacking from Brighton.
Exeter City, who are the leaders of League Two, still unbeaten, have taken the lead at home to Mansfield Town by 1-0. And we'll stay in the southwest because Swindon Town are leading Morecambe by 1-0. Richie well inside, taking the lead at the county ground. Manchester City are 1-0 up. Newcastle are behind to Watford as the diagonal ball to Raheem Sterling. He won't keep that ball in play. Out for a throw. Leicester City against Bournemouth. Pat Murphy.
0-0, feisty opening. Wilson and Maddison both clattered by earth removal tackles by their respective markers. At the other end, though, Vardy, he charged down an attempted clearance from Ramsdale, the Bournemouth keeper. Ran 30 yards to do that. Won the throw-in. The crowd loved that. Leicester 0, Bournemouth 0.
Manchester City are in possession. Zinchenko to Rodri. Kyle Walker in the centre circle. Otamendi. Brighton have everybody back behind the ball. Graham Potter standing at the corner of that expansive technical area here at the Etihad as Aguero drops deep, comes forward, and then Walker spreads the ball out towards Mahrez on this right-hand side. Level the penalty area, City playing from left to right. David Silva out of the penalty area, looks for the return ball to Mahrez. Good challenge that by Stevens and Walker. That was a good old 50-50 duel. You could hear the ooh and the ah from the crowd as they went into that one as well. Surprised the ball didn't pop. You'd have loved that, Michael Brown.
No, it was a big tackle, wasn't it? And that's the danger when you go so strong. But Kyle Walker and Stevens extremely committed. We're just seeing the rerun now. Brilliant from the two players.
Northampton Town 1, Plymouth 1, so Plymouth have quickly equalised at Sixfields in League 2. And Millwall, who've won both of their 2 home games so far this season, are leading Hull City at the Den. Millwall 1, Hull City 0. You're up to date. Brighton are on the attack on that far side. Laporte, deservedly, getting a first call up to the French squad. You wonder why it took Didier Deschamps so long, but he's been called into the squad for the forthcoming games against Albania and Andorra. He eventually clears as Manchester City see their attack snuffed out. Goal at Leicester, Pat Murphy.
It's gone to Leicester City. Maddison again, a very cute pass. Vardy, clean pair of heels. Beautifully judged lob over the keeper from 25 yards out. Leicester 1, Bournemouth 0.
Maddison, of course, back in the England squad for England's Euro 2020 qualifiers. And next Saturday we'll have commentary at Wembley, England against Bulgaria, before they move down to the south coast for the game against Kosovo at St Mary's, where earlier today it finished Southampton 1, Manchester United 1, and in the Championship it was Bristol City 2, Middlesbrough 2 in the early kickoff. As Brighton neatly work the ball clear on that right-hand side. Montoya, good crossfield ball. Bernardo's high up the pitch on this near side, the left. Brighton in all black, attacking from right to left. Bernardo waits for Dan Burn. Dan Burn with a low ball in towards the penalty area. When I was told that he likes to venture forward, I wasn't expecting the 6'7" frame of Dan Burn to get that far forward, Michael Brown.
Great play from Brighton from one side to the other. You've seen Bernardo get on the ball. He possibly could have went all the way. He checked back, and there was the overlapping run from Burn. It was a great delivery in, but great take, just inside the 6-yard area from Ederson.
An overlapping centre-back is something that we've been accustomed to seeing with Sheffield United under Chris Wilder. They're at Stamford Bridge. Jonathan Overend.
Yes, it's 0-0 here, and they're certainly not being outclassed. Chelsea are having more of the ball, but you just sense Sheffield United are waiting for those opportunities, Ian, to get O'Connell and Basham marauding down the flanks. Haven't had too many of those. McBurney's doing a good job on his first start for the Blades. He's won a couple of headers, and it's Chelsea 0, Sheffield United 0.
Brighton have given the ball away cheaply. It's fed in towards Aguero, and across the face of goal it goes. Right-footed, inside right channel the penalty area, but his right-footed effort was always arcing away from Matt Ryan's goal as the champions still lead by a goal to 0, and Ipswich Town, leaders of League One, have increased their lead at home to Shrewsbury Town, 2-0. How have Newcastle responded at St James's Park? Juliet Farrington.
They've been the better team, but they also went close to an equaliser. Almiron 1-on-1 on 5 minutes after Artsu played the ball through, but Foster got there first. A blistering start by Watford. Will Hughes and his goal timed at 78 seconds. Newcastle better since that goal went in, but they're still losing by a goal to 0.
So the League 2 leaders, Exeter, are ahead. The League 1 leaders, Ipswich Town, are leading by 2 goals to 0. What about the front runners of the Championship? Top of the table, Leeds United, Swansea. Conor McNamara.
Bright start to the sunshine at Elland Road. Leeds 0, Swansea 0. Mike van der Hoorn relieved to get away with a mistake on the edge of his own penalty area. Swansea had another left off when Aloiski sent a shot wide from the edge of the box. Then there was a chance too in the middle for Patrick Bamford. So Leeds setting the early tempo here. Leeds 0, Swansea 0.
The tempo here is all being created by Manchester City, although to be fair, Brighton are also trying to play their role when they get the ball, but Once again, they find themselves on the defensive. Zinchenko to David Silva. David Silva out towards Raheem Sterling. Hardly mentioned Raheem Sterling so far, but he plays the ball into Aguero, who makes that run into the inside left channel of the penalty area. Thought he'd won a corner kick, but in fact, referee Jonathan Moss says it'll be a goal kick to Brighton that Matt Ryan will take. So Watford are still leading by 1-0. There's been another goal at Leicester though, Pat Murphy.
Equaliser, splendidly worked move. Callum Wilson left foot in off the far post. Really fine goal. Leicester 1, Bournemouth 1.
Richie Towell, who used to be at Brighton, has scored for Salford City. Salford, who'd gone 5 games without a win, leading Leyton Orient in League 2 by 1-0. Brighton looking to play the ball out from the back in the sunshine here at the Etihad. And then Webster, making his Premier League debut after signing from Bristol City, finds Byrne. And Byrne unable to evade the sliding challenge of De Bruyne, but he'll take the throw quickly. Headed away by Otamendi. The champions still lead by 1-0. Bernardo gives the ball away. David Silva there to Zinchenko. A bit of room for Zinchenko to run into. Over the halfway line, the Ukrainian will carry the ball and then just lays it out short and square. Raheem Sterling. Rodri wants it now. Not much movement though, so he has to go back. Laporte. Rodri. Brighton though putting a little bit of pressure there on Zinchenko, trying to win it. Zinchenko turns and tries to roll away from the challenge of Montoya. Keeps hold of the ball. But they are looking to close down at every opportunity, Brighton.
They are doing, and what they're doing is they're narrowing the midfield. They're stopping the likes of Rodri, Kevin De Bruyne, David Silva getting on in the middle of the park. And that's the difference. If they're brave enough to do it and they get away with it, but this is the counter-attacking.
Bernardo didn't get away with that. He dived in a sliding challenge. Mahrez comes forward now, and in the end, Mahrez, much to the relief of Bernardo, saw as he cut in field his left-footed shot straight at Matt Ryan. Otherwise, he could have been punished. Blackpool 0, Portsmouth 1 is the latest score in League One. Blackpool, who are second behind Ipswich and still unbeaten Simon Grace's side, but have fallen behind at Bloomfield Road. So we've heard from Chelsea, we've heard from Crystal Palace, of course we've heard from Pat with the 2 goals. Leicester 1, Bournemouth 1, West Ham Norwich, Henry Moran.
Still goalless, but West Ham oh so close to taking the lead. Yarmolenko took a tumble, Lanzini saw his shot deflected over. That was one chance. They've just had another brilliant opportunity. Felipe Anderson breaking forward, but Christoph Zimmermann, the captain, with a goal-saving challenge. West Ham 0, Norwich 0.
Morecambe have equalised at Swindon Town in League 2. It's now 1-1 at the county ground. Manchester City go back. We'll check in at the Championship at Reading. Sahel Sahi.
15 minutes played here, Ian. It's Reading 0, Charlton 0. One early chance though for Charlton. Lecco with a firm shot from the edge of the area, well saved down to his right by Raphael, the Reading goalkeeper. Lyle Taylor was 2 yards away. He could not convert the rebound. Reading 0, Charlton 0.
Edison has just drilled a ball flat right down the middle of the pitch, and despite the bright conditions now, those who are at the front section of all of the stands around the Etihad are now looking to change and look for their jackets or their ponchos, because it's now starting to rain despite what looks like bright skies overhead. Manchester City lead by 1-0. Our featured game in League One's at Priestfield. Rob Schofield.
Gillingham 0, Bolton 0. The travelling Bolton fans up there in the Brian Moore stand have had plenty to watch up close, but that's because their defence is under a barrage of crosses as another one comes in here from Gillingham. 2 towering headers have hit the side netting already. Bolton cannot get out. Another shot comes in, safely saved by Remy Matthews. Gillingham 0, Bolton 0.
Mahrez to the edge of the area, curls the ball left corner of the box. Zinchenko gets it back then from David Silva, plays it out towards Sterling, who primarily at the moment seems to be occupying that position on the left hand side, and turned behind for a corner by Lewis Dunk. We'll quickly nip to Gareth Lewis watching the rugby.
Yeah, it's half time. Ireland leading by 15 points to 3. Jacob Stockdale putting a difficult week against England last week behind him with 2 tries for Ireland. Wales disjointed, and 13 players at least will be sweating on this performance with the World Cup squad announced tomorrow.
Cheers, Gareth. Hull City are level at Millwall. Millwall 1, Hull City 1. Kevin De Bruyne is going across to take the corner kick over on that far side. So despite the rain and the sunshine, there'll be a rainbow somewhere. They found their pot of gold at the Etihad a number of years ago. and how they have used it to good effect with the players that they have at their disposal. De Bruyne with the corner, in towards the near post, flicked, cleared away. Goal at Stamford Bridge. Jonathan Overend.
1-0 Chelsea, third of the season for Tammy Abraham. It was scrappy in the end, but the build-up was lovely, including some wonderful stuff from Ross Barkley in midfield. He really created the move. Abraham could have scored at the first time of asking, did at the second. Chelsea 1, Sheffield United 0.
Brentford are leading Derby County in the Championship at Griffin Park by a 1-0. Manchester City have got another corner whilst we've been away. But in this time, it's actually on this near side, the right. It'll be an in-swinger. It'll be taken by Mahrez. Brighton have got everybody back. They're all in black. Manchester City lead by a 0-0. Mahrez to take it. He actually strokes the ball. Zinchenko's going to meet it down into the ground. Takes a bit of a deflection and should be cleared. No, in fact, Trossard will let it run out for a goal kick. Good awareness by Trossard. And a goal kick for Brighton. Michael Brown.
It was a brilliant, well-worked set piece and the corner kick. Didn't just put it straight into the area. Creative to the edge. Zinchenko came on, but he just couldn't fire the ball anywhere towards goal. Poor execution, but no, nice and creative from the training ground. It's nice to see. But City have been comfortable here.
Fair play to Brighton, though. From that goal kick, they played the ball out from the back and they beat the press, much to the annoyance of Mikel Arteta, who in fact has just sprung up from the bench and had a word in the right ear of Pep Guardiola, who now barks out the instructions to his Manchester City players. The goal that was scored after 71 seconds is still the difference here at the Etihad. BBC Radio 5 live in the World Service. David Silva, De Bruyne to shoot! Whistles just wide. Struck it true, struck it low, right-footed, goal kick.
He's got a wonderful right foot, and once he sees the goal open up, David Silva just lays it to his left-hand side and takes the touch. Kevin De Bruyne, he hits it early, just fizzes past the post. He hits it so well.
Brentford have got a second goal. Brentford 2, Derby County 0 in the Championship, and Swindon Town are back in front, leading Morecambe by 2-1, and Hearts at Tynecastle lead Hamilton by a 0-0 in the Scottish Premiership. The way that Brighton are playing, though, it's making for an enjoyable game. I mean, it's always enjoyable watching City, but even more so because this isn't a side that are just sitting here with backs to the wall. They are trying to play their way against the champions.
They are, and they're trying to do it with the right tempo, and it's not just playing around the back. They are, at the moment now, trying that build-up, but then they will change. Then they will try and go forward. You know, they won't overplay, and they'll put it in the areas and turn Manchester City around.
Well, they've just played a ball across the front of their own goal, but they're trying to get away with it. Webster, Manchester City, they're hunting, and the crowd are sensing. But Brighton have managed to get it away up towards Bernardo, and then he loses the ball against Kyle Walker. But they're not afraid to play out from the back. And you're thinking, are they going to come unstuck? I would imagine if you're the parents of Brighton's head of media, who are travelling down from South Yorkshire back home, Mr. and Mrs. Camillan, it might not necessarily make for the most enjoyable of listening to hear Brighton and Hove Albion playing the ball in a risky manner, but they are getting away with it.
It was nervy, wasn't it, when they were doing it? But full credit to them, they kept going, and all of the Manchester City players were chasing. They were trying to get the ball back very, very quickly, and they were a pass away from getting all the way out and into a key area. It's great to see if they can keep doing it and limit Manchester City to opportunities.
Paul did say that you'd be listening to 5 Live, so I hope you have a safe journey home, as Northampton Town are leading Plymouth Argyle by 2-1 in League 2. So no other goals to tell you about so far in the Premier League. Chelsea leads Sheffield United by a 0-0. Leicester City 1, Bournemouth 1. Newcastle 0, Watford 1. West Ham Norwich is goalless, and Manchester City here still lead in the sunshine by a 0-0, and the rain appears to have ceased as it's Accrington Stanley 0, MK Dons 1. Accrington, who are yet to win still in League 1. The game I left out at Premier League is being watched by John Southall.
Palace 0, Villa 0, but the first chance of the afternoon for Palace. Gilbert gave the ball away on the Palace left-hand side. The ball was whipped over. There was MacArthur, 7 yards out first time over the bar. Palace 0, Villa 0.
West Brom have equalised at home. West Brom 1, Blackburn Rovers 1. Motherwell have just taken the lead at home to Hibs in the Scottish Premiership to Leicester City. Pat Murphy.
Still 1-1 here. Superb leap by Maddison for the header that went just wide. And Philip Billing has been booked. He's got 70 minutes to go before he gets first go at the Chow Gel. He rarely disappoints. Leicester 1, Bournemouth 1.
Yeah, Billing booked. Kelsa Trees. There's a free kick here to Manchester City. No yellow card shown, though, by Jonathan Moss. You picked up a few yellow cards in your time, didn't you, Michael?
Only a couple of hundred, Dano. I think you probably have the stats. Are you leading with it? Is it coming or not?
No, I don't think it is. I don't think so.
So when you go back to Brighton, then you're saying what sort of things are they causing City problems? We've just seen Kyle Walker in deep chat with Pep Guardiola. Should I go tight? Should I not? So that tells you what they're doing.
It was actually 137 yellows and 7 reds, if you're counting. Goal at West Ham, Henry Moran.
Sebastian Aller has continued this run of goal scoring. West Ham have taken the lead. The ball played across the 6-yard box. There was the striker to tap home. He's lucky in some ways not to be the recipient of a yellow card a few moments earlier. Horrible challenge on Zimmerman, but he's got himself back on his feet. He's tapped the ball in, and West Ham lead. West Ham 1, Norwich 0.
Swindon have got a third now. Swindon Town 3, Morecambe 1. So there's been a goal in every Premier League game bar Crystal Palace Aston Villa. Manchester City 1-0 up here. Corner kick far side the left. They're playing from left to right. De Bruyne to take it. Cleared away, volleyed clear at the corner, the near corner of the 6-yard box by Dale Stevens. And Edison all in yellow. Cries of shoot there as he collected the ball 6 yards inside his own half. Now to Kyle Walker. Left out of the England squad for those forthcoming games against Bulgaria and Kosovo, your former Sheffield United teammate. As Mahrez now back in the side, comes forward. Rodri, Brighton again, have everybody back, and it's with Laporte to Zinchenko. Yet to lose, actually, when he's featured for Manchester City in the Premier League. And that's not difficult, given their record, I suppose. As Zinchenko tries to win it back. Up until the Tottenham game, he'd won every match he'd featured in. That was a much better record. As Brighton want to take a free kick quickly, which they do now, and Solly March strokes the ball to Dan Burn. On this near side the left, Brighton are playing from right to left. Sheffield Wednesday are leading Queen's Park Rangers by a goal to 0 at Hillsborough in the Championship, and you're up to date with the goals as they go in. As it's Webster back to Dunk, who's playing at the heart of that three. Duffy's on the bench, which was a bit of a surprise. This looks like a naval officer has just walked in. He's still got his white cap on, his flat white cap. The fact that he's wearing a City scarf, he loses the Richard Gere look, really. He wouldn't figure in officer and a gentleman with a Manchester City scarf around his neck, I'm sure. Manchester City lead by a goal to 0. Ball chipped out of defence, long by Webster. Byrne did well on this near side the left to beat Walker in the air, and as a result of that, once again with Proper, the Dutch international, out towards that far side for Brighton and Hove Albion. It's with Trossard, now with Solly March. March inside to Stevens, and all of a sudden Brighton have worked their way midway through the Manchester City half, very, very patiently, but keeping the ball very, very well.
It's one of those, the style and the possession-based football that they're playing, it's just that little bit of quality, especially playing against the players that Manchester City have to go any further on with it.
Ball is then played forward for Mopé to chase, helped out by Bernardo, and Bernardo just about kept the ball in from going behind, I think. It'll be, yes, he did, for a throw right down by the corner flag. Livingston 1, St Mirren 0 is the latest score in the Scottish Premiership. BBC Radio 5 live. Find out what's happening at Ellen Road in that top-of-the-table clash at in the Championship. Conor McNamara.
Yeah, game that's steadying down now. 25 minutes played. Leeds began with a very high tempo, but Swansea haven't had their hair ruffled too much. They've survived a couple of scares. Now they're seeing more of the ball in midfield. Anioski comes forward again, shoots, edge of the penalty area, and it's blocked away. It's the top two. It's 0-0. Leeds 0, Swansea 0.
Manchester City leading by a goal to 0. It would take them a point clear of Liverpool, who are of course in action later on at Turf Moor against Burnley in that 5:30 kickoff. Regular updates into Sports Report and 6:06. In our featured game in League One, there's been a goal at Priestfield. Rob Schofield.
Gillingham 1, Bolton 0. Only a matter of time for Gillingham to open the scoring here as Conor O'Gleed, the centre-back, up from a corner. Ball swung in, he pounced on the chance that the ball fell to him into the back of the net. Bolton trail 1-0 to Gillingham here.
Charles Leclerc is on pole for the Belgian Grand Prix, Vettel second, and Hamilton is in third place. That's from Spa. You might well have been listening to that on Sports Extra. In fact, commentary tomorrow afternoon from 2 on 5 Live Sports Extra. Solly March on the right corner of the penalty area going for, well, I'm not too sure whether it was a cross or a shot, but regardless, it was well over the top, Michael Brown.
It was brilliantly well worked again down the the right-hand side, but as it comes back you'd expect much better quality. They've got players arriving into the penalty area, sort of tries to dink the cross in, but he gets right under and it goes miles over. It's awful really, but you still see Graham Potter, the manager, giving him a clap, giving him just giving them that little bit of belief, telling them they're doing well.
Macclesfield are leading at Stevenage by a goal to nil. Stevenage struggling, yet to win this season, down at the bottom of League Two, so they're behind at Broadhall Way. Into the penalty area, Dunk just manages to step forward and control that ball with his left foot before clearing right-footed. And down to 10 men of Forest Green as they still trail at home to Newport by a goal to nil. Manchester City with Sterling. Sterling rolls it back and it's just put wide. It was David Silva running in from close range, and I'm not too sure how he's actually put that off target from Raheem Sterling's short cross from the left.
They started with an exceptional ball. It's one of them splitting the defences, real pace and power from Kevin De Bruyne into David Silva. He takes his touch onto Raheem Sterling, who drills it across the face, and it just touches David Silva. It's probably too hard and underneath him, I don't know. He should score.
As it's come to him from the left-hand side, he's actually hit it left-footed, which is then worked across the angle, across the face of goal. If he strikes it off his right foot, there's every chance it beats Matt Ryan. You'll see it for yourself on Match of the Day tonight at 10:30. Manchester City coming forward, still leading by a goal to nil. Here is Zinchenko. Out towards David Silva. Cross is blocked by Montoya. Lovely touch by David Silva. Combines with Zinchenko once again. Aguero came to the edge of the area, but nobody had made that forward run on the left-hand side. So when a diagonal ball is played back towards the corner flag area, it runs out of play and out for a goal kick to Brighton, who still trail by a goal to nil. Chelsea 1, Sheffield United 0. Palace Villa is goalless. Leicester 1, Bournemouth 1. Newcastle 0, Watford 1. Remember, Watford had lost all 3 of their opening games. West Ham United lead Norwich City by a goal to nil. Here is Aguero. Aguero wriggles free. Aguero still going, and in the end just taken away from him. And was that a foul on Montoya? No. Brighton, though, will clear. Now, David Propper, Stevens, Bernardo making good ground on this near side. Bernardo, the left wing back, coming in field, tracked by Kyle Walker. Stevens creates a bit of space for Dan Burn to run into. The overlapping centre back plays it forward. Trossard outside the penalty area, turns, gets away from Mahrez and away from Otamendi. Trossard then with a cross. On the cover was Laporte to head the ball away. Stevens helps win it back. Good spell by Brighton. Stevens curls the ball in towards the penalty area. Montoya is forward. They're certainly committing men, aren't they? Getting forward at every opportunity, Brighton.
Well, they are. There's 5 players now just on the edge of Manchester City's penalty area. It shows you don't often see that from a team. You know, no disrespect, lower down you would expect in the Premier League to come and have this much play at the Etihad Stadium. But it's great awareness, great quality and great passing.
West Bromwich Albion have come from behind against Blackburn Rovers in the Championship. West Brom 2, Blackburn Rovers 1. What about West Ham? Henry Moran.
West Ham 1, Norwich 0. That goal from Allaire on the 25-minute mark, the difference between the two sides. Norwich coming back into it though. Todd Cantwell with a couple of opportunities, one shovelled over the bar from the edge of the box, and then a header right underneath the crossbar, just couldn't get high enough to keep that header down. It remains West Ham 1, Norwich 0.
At least you've seen a goal after the kiss of death from Mark Chapman, Henry. As Brighton now stop the ball and will come forward, and Webster, he was then taken out, was Webster. That was by Laporte, and Laporte has actually gone down clutching his leg in the process, which might not necessarily bode well, bearing in mind he's just received his first call up to the French squad. I mean, Webster needed stopping, but he's got a yellow card, I think, for his efforts, hasn't he?
He has, and it's a late tackle and he hurts himself, Laporte, in the challenge. But Webster's gone so strong, so powerful, going right through on different challenges. As a player, you come across, you think you're getting those, Deno, and unfortunately the speed's just too quick. I was quite late on several occasions because I had no pace, but literally that's what happens. He doesn't mean to, but you've got to know when to step out of it.
Just looking to see who's getting treatment, who is on the bench from defensive reinforcements. Angelino, Cancelo are also on the bench there as well. Fernandinho, of course, might well do that job this season at various times, dropping into the back, but he's continuing to get treatment as Brighton will have a free kick when play does resume. Crewe 0, Bradford City 1. James Vaughan, who started the season well, has scored for Gary Bowyer's side at Gresty Road. Let's go back to Leicester and Pat Murphy.
It's still 1-1 against Bournemouth, and Jamie Vardy's enjoying himself. He's getting a lot of service, and yet again he chased down what seemed an impossible course on the goalkeeper. Ramsdale's clearance was blocked by Vardy, but he recovered just in time. It's Leicester 1, Bournemouth 1.
Lincoln City at Sincil Bank are leading Fleetwood Town by 1-0. Tyler Walker, the son of Des, has scored for Danny Cowley's team. How have Newcastle fared since going behind very early on at home to Watford? Juliet Farrington.
Steve Bruce has been doing his nut. It's Newcastle 0, Watford 1. Andre Gray had the best chance of another goal for Watford. Pereira found him unmarked in a similar position from where Will Hughes put Watford ahead, remember, on 78 seconds. But Gray put his shot wide. It's Newcastle 0, Watford 1.
Aberdeen 1, Ross County 0 is the latest score in the Scottish Premiership. This doesn't look good at all for Laporte because the stretcher has been called. He's still down and still getting treatment. So we've heard from Newcastle against Watford. We've heard from Leicester City against Bournemouth with Pat. What about Chelsea, Sheffield United? Jonathan Overend.
Chelsea leading 1-0. Tammy Abraham with the goal. One effort on goal for the visitors. A Freeman effort from 20 yards went wide. Nice to see Ross Barkley playing as the link man in the famous 8 shirt today. Gave the ball away a few times early on, but lovely work from him in the build-up to Abraham's goal that I'm sure will be featured tonight on Match of the Day. Back heel in there as well, and a sliding challenge too. Good work. 1-0 Chelsea.
2 goals in 3 minutes for Tyler Walker. Lincoln City lead Fleetwood 2-0. Oxford United 0. Coventry City 1 is the latest score, also in League One. Laporte very carefully is being placed onto the stretcher. Crystal Palace, Aston Villa. John Southall.
It's goalless. Palace just about shading it. Good chance on the right-hand side. James MacArthur whipped a lovely ball across a 6-yard box. Andre Ayew stretching through himself at the ball. Couldn't quite get, Jordan I should I say, couldn't quite get that connection. Palace 0, Villa 0.
Well, it's never a pleasant sight to see a player carried off on a stretcher, but Aymeric Laporte is being carried off the field of play, and he's actually going down towards the corner on this near side rather than go down the tunnel. Michael Brown.
It means to me when he's off the stretcher, I could be wrong, but would he go straight away for an x-ray on something there? Possibly not sure. The bottom end of his leg. It's sad scenes when he's doing that on the stretcher. Again, he's just come over fully committed, just was a little bit late and got himself hurt in the process.
So Laporte being carried off on a stretcher. Peterborough 1, Sunderland 0, Southend United 0, Rochdale 1. 2 latest scores in League One. Fernandinho replaces Laporte, and we'll get news of West Ham Norwich with Henry Moran.
West Ham 1, Norwich 0. Substitution for Norwich sees captain Christoph Zimmermann coming off. He was involved in a little bit of a tangle with the West Ham striker Sebastian Haller, the goal scorer in this game. Nasty challenge, wasn't even a free kick, and the defender didn't look comfortable from that time onwards. He's just been replaced by Ibrahim Amadou, and Norwich with their defence creaking, more injury woes. West Ham 1, Norwich 0.
From the free kick, the ball's been put out of play on this near side. Come on Blues was the chant from a Manchester City supporter just in front of us. Aberdeen 2, Ross County 0. This is going to be a long throw here. So Fernandinho, who's just come onto the field, is going to be tested. In it comes now from Byrne. It's a long one into the penalty area. Stretching on the volley was Solly March, and plucked out of the air by Edison, looking to try and release Raheem Sterling on the counter-attack. But Brighton will stop that quick counter-attack as we go to Chelsea. And Jonathan Overend.
Chelsea leading Sheffield United 1-0, could easily be 2 though for the home side. Lovely link play this time between Abraham and Kovacic, who ran from deep and was clear on Henderson, shot across goal and past the post. Could have done a bit better. 1-0 Chelsea.
Mahrez, will that go out of play for a corner kick? Yes, it will. The last touch was off Bernardo. Bernardo, I think, thought it came off Mahrez. The corner's already been taken quickly. They switched off there, Brighton. De Bruyne, right-hand side, down towards the byline. Clips back the cross, headed away by Webster. Comes to Mahrez, under pressure from Trossard, and he goes down. And that will be a free kick to Manchester City. almost at the right corner of the penalty area. De Bruyne thought about taking it quickly and switched on this occasion was Bernardo to go with the run of David Silva. After this free kick, we'll be going back to the top of the table in the Championship. But Manchester City leading by a goal to nil. De Bruyne stands over this free kick. A hobbling Mahrez does not want to participate. David Silva is also there if he wants to take the in-swinger off his left foot, otherwise it'll be the out-swinger from De Bruyne, as Manchester City in their sky blue shirts and white shorts playing from left to right, about 10 yards in from the right touchline. David Silva waits. Brighton and Hove Albion have everybody back. Right arm aloft by De Bruyne, right-footed, good pace about the ball as well. Headed up and away by Dunk, put back in, and Dunk's quickly back off his feet to control the ball off his right thigh and then volley the ball away to Ellen Road. Conor McNamara.
Leeds 0, Swansea 0, half-time approaching, a game that's been played at 100 miles an hour, fiercely competitive. Leeds have had the best chances, but they need cooler heads in front of goal. Leeds 0, Swansea 0.
Southend United 0, Rochdale 2 is the latest score from Roots Hall in League One. Southend, one of those sides who are yet to win, as Brighton on the break, right-hand side. Solly March, head down, carries the ball a long way, finds Trossard. If Trossard can get it out from underneath his feet, he's then got his back to goal. He turns on his left foot, blocks, and then Mahrez with the stretch almost runs into trouble. Brighton, though, hunting for the ball, trying to win it back. Brighton giving it a right go. Proper wins the ball back, chips the ball in towards the penalty area, but it's behind Mopé, and it'll be cleared by Kyle Walker. They have had moments, haven't they, Brighton, as Byrne brings the ball superbly down. He's running, facing his own goal on this near side, the right, because Brighton are playing from right to left. So he's on his left touchline, the right as we look. It's dropped over his shoulder. He's 6'7". He's got Aguero, I wouldn't say breathing down his neck, more down the base of his back. And he brings the ball superbly, cushions the ball with one touch.
It was great play there from Brighton, putting the pressure right on City, and the ball you're talking about goes right over his head, and Dan Byrne just takes his touch away from Aguero, out of the sky, facing the wrong way, and then Aguero goes up to him as he's played the ball, gives him a little high five. That tells you how good it was.
What do they say? Not bad of a touch for a big man.
Not a bad big man.
Another goal at Leicester, Pat Murphy.
To Leicester City, made by Jamie Vardy's persistence, and the final ball across the 6-yard area should have been cleared. Tielemans there, stuck his left foot out, went in off the post. Leicester 2, Bournemouth 1.
Shrewsbury, who are down to 10 men now, are still trailing Ipswich Town by 2-0. West Brom 3, Blackburn 1, Nottingham Forest 0, Preston 1, and a goal at Newcastle. Juliet Farrington.
And Newcastle have the equaliser. It's Newcastle 1, Watford 1. I think it was Shaw with the final touch that crossed the ball into the back of the net, beating Foster. He got onto a cross. He was running through on goal. There was a bit of a mix-up in the area, but he finally hooked the ball in past Ben Foster. Newcastle have equalised. Newcastle 1, Watford 1.
Fabian Schär contributed a few goals last season, didn't he? He's been a very good signing made by Newcastle. The Swiss international. Northampton Town 3, Plymouth Argyle 1 in League 2. As Manchester City with De Bruyne, step over by Mahrez. Aguero buries the ball in for a second. Delightful play by Manchester City. And Sergio Aguero once again finds the back of the net. It's now 5-4 for Sergio Aguero as he increases Manchester City's lead 2-0.
Talk about watching goals on Match of the Day. This will be one of those. Proper team goal. Great passing, really slick. Kevin De Bruyne, the decisions, him and Riyad Mahrez. A little back heel, a little play back into Mahrez. It misses him. Aguero takes his touch, smashes it right into the top right-hand corner. What a goal from City.
Mahrez certainly played his part, the back heel, then letting it run through to Aguero, who did the rest, as you'd expect he would. 3 minutes before half-time, Manchester City 2, Brighton and Hove Albion 0, in our featured game at Priestfield in League One. There's also been another goal, Rob Schofield.
Gillingham 2, Bolton 0, and it's Ollie Lee. He only arrived here 2 days ago on loan from Hearts. His second spell here at Gillingham, best player on the pitch today. He got on the end of a nod down from a corner and putting the goal in the back of the net. Gillingham 2, Bolton 0.
Another goal at Stamford Bridge, Jonathan Overend.
2-0 Chelsea, 2-0 Tammy Abraham. Egan and O'Connell getting in each other's way. It was horrendous at the back for the Blades, and Abraham was there to stick it away ruthlessly. Minutes before, Callum Robinson had a glorious chance to equalise for the visitors, put his header wide, and now it's Chelsea who lead Sheffield United 2-0.
St Johnstone 0, Kilmarnock 1 at McDermott Park in the Scottish Premiership. Grimsby have levelled at Walsall. That's now 1-1. It's Crewe 1, Bradford City 1. So Crewe have equalised at Gresty Road. You are up to date on BBC Radio 5 Live and the World Service from the BBC, where Manchester City now lead by 2-0. David Silva with a little drag back, comes back to Silva, feeds it towards Aguero, releases Mahrez on the right-hand side. Mahrez, the Algerian. Last league goal was against Brighton, and he tests Ryan at his near post as he fires it in, and it's beaten behind for a corner kick as Manchester City threatened further goals. Michael Brown.
Just looking now, quick from back to front, Manchester City are. Riyad Mahrez finally gets a bit of space on his right-hand side on the corner of the penalty area. He commits burn, he does a left-footed step over, off to the right, and then fizzes it across, but into the goalkeeper. Much better by Mahrez.
Mahrez then waits to take the corner kick on this near side. It's left-footed, flicked on at the near post by Rodri, and Brighton will break out now. And this is David Proper leading the charge, and all of a sudden it's 3 against 2. Zinchenko and Walker are the full-backs. De Bruyne is the one who gets back to slot in between the two full-backs. Mopé lets it run through. Trossard quickly off his line though was goalkeeper Edison, all in yellow, very, very alert. Here is Trossard once again. Solly March, can he get a shot away on the edge of the area and plays it behind Byrne? But also you've got to praise De Bruyne for the way his athleticism to make sure that he got back in between the two full-backs, because at one stage it was 3 against 2.
Well, it was. That's the desire, the pace and power. Just watching Aguero on the same counter, he could get nowhere near as far back as what Kevin De Bruyne did. They had a great opportunity, but I must say, great save by Edison.
Was a very good save. He's quickly off his goal line. 4 minutes of added on time, which we're now into. Closing stages in the first half at Selhurst Park. John Southall.
Palace 0, Villa 0, but a double chance for Palace. Milivojevic with a low free kick. Heaton save to his left-hand side. Then Kouyaté with a downward header on the right of the 6-yard box. There was the keeper again to tip over. Palace 0, Villa 0.
Frank Nublet, who converted one of his spot kicks when Colchester United beat Crystal Palace in the League Cup earlier in the week, has scored at Boundary Park. Oldham 0, Colchester United 1. Manchester City leading 2-0 have lost the ball. March out towards that far side. Here is Mopé, right side of the penalty area. Has March right corner of the box. David Proper back out to Solly March once again. Tries to feed it to Montoya, but it's intercepted by De Bruyne to Raheem Sterling. Back with De Bruyne, and all of a sudden it could open up here for Manchester City. Mahrez just touches the ball away from Dan Burn. Now this all of a sudden looks threatening. Man over is Aguero. Aguero to Raheem Sterling, goes slightly behind Raheem Sterling. They're saying there might have been a handball in there which took it away out of the path of Raheem Sterling. But what a slick break by the champions. That's when they're threatening.
Absolutely incredible break. The passing was absolutely perfect. Riyad Mahrez just dances past one.
Yeah, at the other end now, Mopé looking for Trossard into the penalty area. Trossard this time stopped by Fernandinho. They're getting half chances, aren't they, Brighton?
They are, and full credit to that. They keep doing it. They keep trying to get into these opportunities. And similar to City, on the counter-attack, they've looked good, they've created problems. But there, just as it opened up, it was brilliant by Mahrez. He committed the defender, he takes your touch inside. You know Aguero's coming around on your right shoulder. He plays him in. There you're thinking Aguero, finish across the goalkeeper. He doesn't. He tries to pull the ball back, and he just misses Raheem Sterling, and then wasted the opportunity.
We'll be going around the grounds at half-time with Mark Chapman. Chelsea 2, Sheffield United 0. Goalless at Selhurst Park. Leicester City lead Bournemouth 2-1. Newcastle 1, Watford 1. West Ham United 1, Norwich City 0. Brentford now lead Derby 3-0 in the Championship. And here at the Etihad, Manchester City lead by 2-0. However, it might well be a bittersweet afternoon through the injury to Laporte as Raheem Sterling comes forward now, but again well recovered by Lewis Dunk to get the sliding block in. That's the only thing that could potentially take the gloss off what looks like to be another 3 points for the champions Manchester City. Aymeric Laporte being carried off on a stretcher in this first half. David Silva isn't happy with the pressure of the ball. That'll be down to that challenge between Stevens and Walker earlier.
I'm just looking, because if John Moss holds the ball, David Silva just picked it up and said, I think the ball's burst. He's asking for a new ball. But if he's almost thinking, I've got to change the ball. He's got to do it, because it just looks so obvious that it's flat, but then he's holding, it's not going anywhere. It looks like it's still up to me.
Jonathan Moss now is going to give the ball to Ryan. and Ryan will underarm throw the ball towards Lewis Dunk. The City supporters aren't happy with that. They're saying to Lewis Dunk, the City players, kick it back, we want the ball back. And he obliges, and that's why you can hear the City supporters applauding. West Bromwich Albion 3, Blackburn Rovers 2 is the latest score at the Hawthorn. So Tony Mowbray likes to see goals, likes to see attacking football, and against his former club has seen his current side get a goal back as the back pass towards Ryan from Dunk was eventually controlled by Ryan. Dunk plays it towards Byrne, and there is the half-time whistle. So Manchester City lead Brighton and Hove Albion by 2-0. De Bruyne after 71 seconds, and then Aguero 3 minutes before half-time. But they did have other chances through Aguero and David Silva. But as we've been saying, half chances too for the away team. Michael Brown.
Yes, there was the half chance, and when you do get the opportunity late in the first half, he's got to score. But it's a great save by his knee by Ederson, but it was just so City again, you know how clinical it can be. Started on 71 seconds to score the goal, and some of that movement, some of that play was brilliant for all to see. They should have probably had more.
Enjoyable for the neutral, enjoyable for the purists. 2-0 Manchester City.
And it's the same scoreline at Stamford Bridge. Jonathan Overend.
Yeah, 2 goals against Norwich City and 2 goals against Sheffield United for Tammy Abraham. What a start to the season for him as Chelsea lead Sheffield United by 2-0. Nice work from Barkley in the build-up to the first. Abraham could have scored with his header, but then scored with his follow-up. Kovacic had a good chance after that before Abraham made it 2-0 with Egan and O'Connell, 2 of the Sheffield United centre-halves, getting in each other's way, going for the same high ball. That was a lovely finish from Abraham. Could have been a third before the break. Mason Mount just wide, but Callum Robinson at 1-0 had a good chance to equalise with the diving header, put it wide. Chelsea leading Sheffield United 2-0.
So pre-match we were expecting goals at the London Stadium. We have had one. Henry Moran.
West Ham 1, Norwich 0. Record signing Seb Aller's first home goal, the difference between the sides. Arthur Musuaku made it a fine run on the left. His ball across left Aller with the easiest of chances. No side has conceded more than Norwich this season. They've looked shaky at the back throughout. That fragility won't be helped by the injury to captain Christoph Zimmermann. He had to be replaced 10 minutes before the break after a strong tackle, to put it mildly, from goal scorer Aller. The visitors have created very little. West Ham with the deserved 1-0 lead at the break.
And the home side are ahead at the King Power Stadium as well. Pat Murphy.
Leicester lead Bournemouth 2-1. Jamie Vardy has been terrific in this half. He scored the first one. Lovely calculated lob over the keeper. Good pass by Chilwell. Worried the life out of Bournemouth's back four. And the keeper Ramsdale chasing lost causes. And he laid on the second for Tielemans just before half-time. His persistence won the ball, squared it across, in off the post. And in between that, though, an excellent goal from Callum Wilson after fine work by Ryan Fraser. They look dangerous on the break, Bournemouth, but they'll have to be tighter on Vardy in the second half. Leicester 2, Bournemouth 1.
Newcastle have got themselves back into it at St James's Park. Jules.
They needed to, because it was an awful start. They got the equaliser through Cher just before the break. It was the defender, the final touch he got, it beat Foster. The cross came in, he was running through. It was a brilliant finish into the far corner, but this after Will Hughes put Watford ahead. He was unmarked after just 78 seconds. You could imagine the atmosphere. Better at half-time for Newcastle at St James's Park. Newcastle 1, Watford 1.
John.
You might be right with that 0-0. Half-time, Crystal Palace 0, Aston Villa 0. In fairness, though, it has threatened to be a good game without quite getting there. Palace have created the better chances, the best of those to James MacArthur. Gilbert gave the ball away. Schlupp whipped in the cross from the left-hand side, and there was MacArthur 6 yards out. First-time strike over the crossbar. Palace did finish the half the stronger. Heaton made 2 good saves. Milivojevic and Kouyaté, the 2 players with the chances. The first a free kick, the second he tipped over a downward header from 6 yards out. Villa started brightly. Wesley with a chance after just 30 seconds straight at Guaita, but they've been on the back foot for much of the half. And if we are to have a winner here at the moment, I would say Crystal Palace, and I still think we'll get a goal. 0-0.
OK, Leeds have gone close in the Championship on the stroke of half-time. Conor McNamara.
Yeah, good game this. Leeds 0, Swansea 0. All we need now is the goal. We very nearly got it, as you say. Swansea's best effort came just before half-time. Rasping shot from Basta that was shrivelled out for a corner, but Leeds What a glorious opportunity right at the very end of the half. Captain Liam Cooper back in the team today. He hit the crossbar with the header. It came back to him. He tried to swivel it in. His follow-up went just over the top. Leeds 0, Swansea 0.
The early game in the Championship finished Bristol City 2, Middlesbrough 2. Let's go to the Medeski next. Reading against Charlton. Sale Sahi.
Half-time mark, Reading 0, Charlton 0. Lively first 45 minutes. Loss of honest endeavour from both teams. Jonathan Lecco for Charlton. He was denied by a fine save from Raphael low to his right. George Puskas hit the crossbar for Reading with the Charlton goalkeeper Dylan Phillips well beaten, and then Phillips denied Puskas again just before the break. Half-time, Reading 0, Charlton 0.
Elsewhere in the Championship, Birmingham 0, Stoke 0. Great first half for Brentford. They lead Derby by 3-0. Ollie Watkins has got 2 of those, so he now has 4 for the season. Goalless between Luton and Huddersfield. Millwall had taken the lead at the Den at home to Hull. Jed Wallace with that. However, Kamil Grzycki's second of the season means it's all square there. Nottingham Forest 0, Preston 1. Billy Bowden with the goal for Alex Neil's side at the City Ground. Sheffield Wednesday lead QPR by 1-0. Stephen Fletcher from the penalty spot, 3 for the season for him. Heck of a first half at the Hawthorns. West Brom 3, Blackburn 2. Blackburn's goals coming from the 2 Bradleys, Johnson and Dack with his second of the season. West Brom, Matt Phillips in the week that he signed his new deal, he got the first, then Jake Livermore, and then Dean Garner with his third of the season on loan from West Ham. And at the DW Stadium, it is Wigan 0, Barnsley 0. Let's go into League One. Our featured game is at Gillingham. Rob Schofield watching them against Bolton.
Gillingham 2-0 up at half-time, Mark, and deservedly too. Connor Ogilvie opened the scoring from a set-piece, his first since finding the back of the net against Bury of all teams 18 months ago. Ollie Lee arriving on loan this week from Hearts, adding a second. These travelling Bolton fans from every corner of the country, as we know, absolutely outstanding despite the scoreline. You can tell they're just happy to have a club to watch this weekend. A reminder, though, Bolton have a lot to do to properly compete this season. Gillingham 2, Bolton 0.
Elsewhere in League One, Accrington Stanley, who are yet to win this season, are behind at half-time against MK Dons. Accrington Stanley 0, MK Dons 1. It's goalless between AFC Wimbledon and Wickham. Portsmouth have the lead at Blackpool. Blackpool unbeaten this season. Blackpool 0, Portsmouth 1. Burton 0, Bristol Rovers 0. Ipswich lead Shrewsbury by 2-0. Caden Jackson's 4th of the season. James Norwood's 5th of the season, which means the Norwood GIF is doing the rounds on social media at half-time. Shrewsbury down to 10 men in that game as well. Lincoln lead Fleetwood by 2-0. Couple in the space of 3 minutes for Tyler Walker. He's now got 4 for the season on loan from Nottingham Forest. Oxford 0, Coventry 1. Peterborough leads Sunderland by 1-0. Marcus Maddison's second of the season. Goalless between Rotherham and Tranmere. And Southend, who've lost all 5 games in League One this season, are behind again. Rochdale lead at Roots Hall by 2-0. Ian Henderson, one of Rochdale's goal scorers. He's got 4 for the season. Into League Two, Crawley 0, Cheltenham 0. Crewe 1, Bradford 1. Bradford had taken the lead through James Vaughan's 3rd of the season. The leaders Exeter are ahead. Ryan Bowman's 2nd of the season means they lead Mansfield by 1-0. Forest Green Rovers are down to 10 men at half-time, and they trail Newport by 1-0. Padraig Armand's 4th of the season. Northampton 3, Plymouth 1. Couple of goals there for Andy Williams, 3 for the season for him for Northampton. Oldham 0, Colchester 1. Port Vale 0, Cambridge 0. Salford lead Leyton Orient by 1-0. Scunthorpe 0, Carlisle 0. And Macclesfield, who've won 3 of their last 4 in League Two, are a goal up at Stevenage at half-time. Stevenage 0, Macclesfield 1. Swindon 3, Morecambe 1. 2 there for Owen Doyle. He's now got 5 for the season. And it's Walsall 1, Grimsby 1. Into the National League, Bromley 1, AFC Fylde 2. Chesterfield 0, Dagenham and Redbridge 1. Eastleigh 0, Barnet 1. Ebbsfleet 0, Aldershot 1. FC Halifax 1, Solihull Moors 0. Goalless between Harrogate and Dover. And Sutton and Maidenhead. Hartlepool are a goal up at Torquay. Crikey, that's a journey and a half. The leaders Woking are behind at home to Barrow. Woking 0, Barrow 1. Stockport on their return to the National League lead at Wrexham by 2-0. And the battle between the two sides relegated from League Two last season at half-time It is Yeovil 1, Notts County 0. In the Scottish Premiership, Aberdeen 2, Ross County 0. Hearts 1, Hamilton 0. Livingston 1, St Mirren 0. Motherwell 1, Hibs 0. And St Johnstone 0. Bottom of the table, Kilmarnock 1. Don't forget it's Rangers against Celtic tomorrow in the Scottish Premiership. In the Championship, Arbroath 0, Dunfermline 0. Partick lead Ayr by 2-1, but they're down to 10 men in that game. It's goalless between Queen of the South and Alloa. In League 1, Airdrie 0, Falkirk 0, East Fife 1, Wraith 1, Forfar 0, Clyde 0, Montrose 0, Dumbarton 2, Stranraer 0, Peterhead 2. And in League 2, Albion Rovers 0, Stirling 1. Stirling down to 10 in that one. Annan 1, Stenhouse Muir 1. Cove Rangers lead Queen's Park by 1-0. Cowdenbeath are 2-1 up at home to Brechin. Elgin 0, Edinburgh City 2. Remember when we went into the 3 o'clock games, I said that Bayern Munich were trailing at home to Mainz by 1-0. In the next hour, since I gave you that, they've scored 4. It's Bayern 4, Mainz 1. Turn our attentions to the Rugby Union. The World Cup not far off. Wales taking on Ireland today, watched by Gareth Lewis.
Yeah, and Ireland's pack have really taken this game away from Wales now, Mark. They lead Ireland by 22 points to 3. Their third try has just come. It was a penalty try after all sorts of infringements and repeated warnings at scrum time from Wales. Not Wales this afternoon, really. They've struggled to get going, can't get their hands on the ball. They've just had a driving line out, but lost the ball in the process of going over the line. Not really an advert for two teams vying for top place in the world, but as things stand, Ireland will overtake Wales at the top of the world rankings if they win by 15 points or more.
Charles Leclerc is on pole for the Belgian Grand Prix. We'll get all the news from qualifying from Spa after the latest BBC News.
On digital, BBC Sounds, smart speaker and online.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live. With the headlines, I'm Lisa McCormick. Police in Hong Kong have used tear gas, rubber bullets and water cannon to disperse crowds of pro-democracy activists. Thousands took to the streets despite a ban on the march. Protesters threw petrol bombs. Here, demonstrations are taking place across the country against the government's decision to suspend Parliament. Thousands of people have turned out to events in towns and cities, including Manchester, Leeds, York and Belfast. The Chancellor Sajid Javid says he has a fantastic relationship with the Prime Minister despite the sacking of one of his special advisers. Sonia Khan was dismissed by Boris Johnson's top aide. 4 people have been arrested on suspicion of attempted murder after a 15-year-old boy was stabbed in North London. The teenager's in a critical condition after the attack in Tottenham yesterday morning. And Ellie Goulding's marrying her art dealer fiancé Casper Joplin at York Minster. Princesses Eugenie and Beatrice, along with their mother Sarah Duchess of York, are among the guests.
The Hungarian Grand Prix.
Lewis Hamilton led the championship by 41 points coming into this weekend, and Lewis Hamilton is going to win the Grand Prix and further cement his control at the top of this 29 Formula 1 World Championship. Hamilton wins in Budapest, Verstappen second, Vettel third.
Next, the Belgian Grand Prix. Live race commentary from 2 p.m. on Sunday.
F1 on 5 Live Sports Extra.
This is 5 Live Sport with Mark Chapman.
Yeah, the Grand Prix on Sports Extra tomorrow, qualifying on Sports Extra earlier. Charles Leclerc is on pole for that. Jack Nicholls.
Yes, his third pole position of the season. A good performance from the Ferrari driver, 7/10 clear of anyone else. That was impressive. Also impressive work by Mercedes mechanics, because Lewis Hamilton had a crash in third practice and they only just got out in time for qualifying. Jolyon Palmer was watching it with me for Sports Extra, the former Renault F1 driver. Great work from Mercedes to even get Hamilton out onto the track.
It was. He had a pretty heavy crash, actually, and there was some question marks, but he managed to get out. Third position, couldn't quite get on top of the Ferraris though. Leclerc did a great job, 7/10 ahead of Sebastian Vettel, his teammate. And Hamilton, great job to get out there. Starts third, still in contention tomorrow.
He was only 0.02 slower than beating Sebastian Vettel and starting on the front row. Is that going to be the biggest 0.02 of the weekend?
Fairly critical, that. Vettel, scrappy session, but critically stays on the front row. And there's a really long run out of the first corner, up the hill, through the classic Eau Rouge corner, and down the Kemmel Straight. Great chance to overtake. Having Hamilton on the second row behind 2 Ferraris is a massive difference. It doesn't allow him an easy shot to try and pass Charles Leclerc. So that 200 could be critical, and it puts Mercedes at a slightly more disadvantageous position.
Hamilton 62 points clear in the championship over his teammate Valtteri Bottas, who starts 4th. Verstappen starts 5th, but it's Ferrari who are looking strongest with a front row lockout for tomorrow's Belgian Grand Prix, which will be on Sports Extra. Race gets underway at 2:10 tomorrow afternoon.
Thank you very much. They're already back underway at Stamford Bridge, and Jonathan Overend.
Sleepy Chelsea not waking up after the break, and Sheffield United are back in it. Callum Robinson scores 2-1 Chelsea. Good work down the left from Enda Stevens, and Robinson was there, and it was an easy finish. 49 seconds I made it after the referee's whistle, and it's Chelsea 2, Sheffield United 1.
Michael Brown is at the Etihad alongside Ian Dennis, and there will be some Chelsea fans thinking, uh-oh, here we go again with our second half performances.
I hope so, because you've just been cheering when we hear that. I was delighted for Sheffield United there. I mean, it's a big ask for them to get something at Chelsea. Dion's tip early on in the day, thinking they would, but chappers, I'm just sat with...
that could be a new feature, Dion's Dabble.
Dion's Dabble. Did Deno's not recover because he had to buy the pies and the drinks in the middle of the week, and then we went in the press room and they were all free, and he just put his hand in his pocket, so he's not best pleased.
No, it's not because of that. I've just found out that you bought Gary Flintoff a sausage at Salford earlier in the season, and he didn't treat me one.
Enough of this big... Hang on, there's a dangerous free kick at Selhurst. I don't want to miss the opportunity that there might be a goal. John Southall.
Listen to them. Trezeguet with the free kick over the bar. Don't be ridiculous. 0-0.
Try for Wales, Gareth Lewis.
Yeah, rare bit of pressure for Wales. 8 points to 22 now. They trail. A debut try as well for Owen Lane, crashing over in the corner. They've not had much ball. There's still 15 minutes left, so they could do something. It's Wales 8, Ireland 22.
In the early game, Southampton 1, Manchester United 1. Southampton down to 10 for the last 20 minutes. Newcastle 1, Watford 1 at half-time. Palace 0, Villa 0. Chelsea 2, Sheffield United 1 now at Stamford Bridge. West Ham 1 up at Norwich. Leicester lead Bournemouth by 2-1. Manchester City 2, Brighton 0 in front of the bickering duo.
Yes, Michael Brown is in the red corner. I'm in the blue corner as we're back underway with Manchester City in their sky blue shirts and white shorts, playing from right to left, leading by 2-0. Actually, talking about boxing, it reminds me, 9:30 on Sports Extra. We'll have commentary of the Hughie Fury fight against Alexander Povetkin, and then at 10:30 on BBC Radio 5 Live tonight, Mike Costello and Mike Bunce, Luke Campbell against Vasyl Lomachenko. And I won't tell you the story about Michael Brown once sparring with Luke Campbell when he was in Dubai. Is that correct?
I'm not sure about sparring, but you have to exaggerate, don't you?
Journalistic's prerogative. Zinchenko on this near side. Neither side has made a change at half-time. Brighton trailing 2-0. They conceded after 71 seconds, and then 3 minutes before the half-time whistle, De Bruyne got the first, Aguero got the second. But they have had a series of half chances, and they have certainly contributed to what has been an enjoyable game of football. So the two teams for Manchester City, who in that first half lost Laporte, stretch it off, which might be a huge setback for him and his hopes of representing France against Andorra and Albania after gaining his first call-up by Didier Deschamps. Ederson in goal, a back four of Walker. Fernandinho now partnering Otamendi. Zinchenko the left back. Rodri, De Bruyne, David Silva, Mahrez, Aguero and Raheem Sterling. And ominously for Brighton, Raheem Sterling has had one of his more quieter afternoons. Here is David Silva, squeezes the ball to Zinchenko. Sterling wants the ball played to feet. The Ukrainian obliges. It opens up for Raheem Sterling, who makes a run inside. Now to Mahrez, rolls it a little bit further ahead of him with his left foot. Zinchenko drills it in low, blocked by Montoya. Manchester City in the sunshine, playing from right to left. I'll give you the Brighton team in a moment. BBC Radio 5 Live and the World Service from the BBC. There's David Silva. Little touch by De Bruyne. Gave the eyes there, didn't he? There's the ball, then he's back with Zinchenko once again. Cleared by Webster. Volleyed by Rodri. It's a cushioned ball to David Silva. And they're just outside the penalty area, looking for that movement. The concentration has to be high from Brighton. David Silva. Aberdeen 3, Ross County 0 is the latest score from Pittodrie in the Scottish Premiership. Fernandinho chips the ball long and out of play for a goal kick. So, giving you the Manchester City side, for Brighton, Matt Ryan is in goal. The back three, Adam Webster, Lewis Dunk and Dan Burn. The wing-backs are Montoya and Bernardo. And then you've got David Proper, Dale Stevens, Leandro Trossard and Solly March behind Neil Maupay. But Brighton, just if they'd had a little bit more of a rub of the green. Let's not forget Ederson made that good save in the latter stages of the first half. might well have caused the champions more problems, but they have certainly played their part in what has been an attractive game of football. The thing is that they're 2-0 down. We said before, you've got to take your chances when you're up against Manchester City, because they've actually now set a club record of scoring in 26 consecutive Premier League matches. Have Manchester City. Only Arsenal and Manchester United have scored in a longer sequence of games. And Arsenal's was a run of 55. Mind you, the quality of this Manchester City team wouldn't surprise you if they were to actually beat that themselves or go very, very close. Otamendi forward for Manchester City. Luton Town 0, Huddersfield Town 1 is the latest score from Kenilworth Road. Colin Grant has scored in the early stages there in the Championship. A reminder in the Premier League, Chelsea 2, Sheffield Wednesday 1, Crystal Palace 0, Aston Villa 0, Leicester City 2, Bournemouth 1, Newcastle 1, Watford 1, West Ham United 1, Norwich City 0. And Hamilton have equalised at Hearts in the Scottish Premiership as Bernardo, away on that left-hand side, racing clear, but then in the end pulled back and dealt with. Let's get an update from Selhurst Park with John Southall.
Palace 0, Villa 0, but Palace chance. Engels gave the ball away on the halfway line to Ayew to Kouyaté on the right of the penalty area, and he blazed it wide. Are we getting closer? Palace 0.
Trossard with a shot. Very good block coming in from Fernandinho right in front of his goalkeeper, but another opportunity for Brighton. Sorry, John.
That's okay, Dan. I was just giving you the score. Palace 0, Villa 0.
Thank you. Manchester City now with the break. Brighton are still in this game, even though they're 2-0 down, as Mahrez has made a run there. Here's Aguero. Now Sterling, he's overrun that. No, he hasn't. He squeezed it to David Silva, back to Sterling. Sliding challenge coming in from Lewis Dunk. Hook goal was by Raheem Sterling. Fisted away by Ryan at the far post. Collected by Mahrez, right-hand side, does one little step over, shifts the ball out onto his left foot, plays in De Bruyne. De Bruyne shoots low and out for a goal kick as we will go to Reading. Sahel Sahi.
Charlton's fantastic start to the season continues. It's Reading 0, Charlton 1. Jonathan Leko with a left-footed strike from the edge of the penalty area. Reading 0, Charlton 1.
Sunderland, who've won their last 5, their winning sequence might well be coming to an end at London Road. Peterborough United 2, Sunderland 0 is the latest score in League One, and you're up to date. But Michael Brown, what about that other opportunity just moments ago for Brighton?
There's a huge opportunity. Zinchenko down the left-hand side lost the ball. Immediately Pep Guardiola fell to his knees and put his hand on his chin. He knew there was trouble. Maupay went across, he didn't shoot, he squared it back. And there he was. It was just a simple one from Trossard to caress the ball in, but he hits it into the ground. Fortunately for City, it was a poor finish, and Fernandinho headed the ball away in the centre of the goal.
That's the voice of Michael Brown, formerly of Manchester City, Tottenham Hotspur, and of course tomorrow we'll have commentary for you of the North London derby, part of 5 Live Premier League Sunday. It all starts in the squad at 11:30, and then Everton Wolves at 2 is our first commentary, followed by the North London derby at the Emirates at 4:30. News of us sending off at Selhurst Park. John Southall.
Villa are down to 10 men. Trezeguet's been sent off. He brought down Wilfried de Zaha in full flight down on the right touchline. His second yellow, and he's just trooping off into the corner now. Palace 0, Villa 0. Villa down to 10.
Manchester City still lead by 2-0. Brighton, though, will take a throw on this right-hand side. Webster manages to get it away from Aguero to Lewis Dunk. Forward then to Stevens. Drops into the centre circle of his own half. Dunk moves to his left-hand side. Left of the centre circle, runs over the halfway line. Gets away from Mahrez. No, he's caught the ball. Caught in possession. And Mahrez will exploit that gap as the Brighton had pushed men forward. Stretching, though, was Webster to cut out the cross from Mahrez. And it required that intervention, because Raheem Sterling was lurking, and that's where you can't lose the ball, because all of a sudden you leave yourself vulnerable. And again, they're almost caught in possession. You've got to admire their style of play, but it does bring with it an element of risk.
Well, it does, and hopefully over time they will get better with it. There'll be less mistakes. But once they lose the ball, we've seen Riyad Mahrez shoot down the right-hand side. Raheem Sterling was bursting into the area. He played it early. It was a lovely ball with the outside of his left foot. And there it was, and then Webster just managed to slide in to clear the ball away.
Manchester City lead by 2-0. Bright sunshine at the Etihad. Walker gets the ball back from the throw level, the penalty area. City have given the ball away. Potential break now for Brighton. Mopé, Trossard and March all involved. Mopé back towards March. The return ball, Dale Stephens spreads it out towards Montoya. The right wing back coming forward. Sterling tries to get back at him. He comes forward and plays it in towards Trossard, and it's scooped up by Ederson. So we will go to Chelsea, Sheffield United, and at Stamford Bridge, Jonathan Overend.
With Chelsea leading 2-1, and Tammy Abraham on a hat-trick here, almost had it. Denied by a fantastic reaction save from Dean Henderson. Abraham thought it had already hit the net, and it's Chelsea 2, Sheffield United 1.
Manchester City looking to extend their unbeaten run in the Premier League to 18 since they were beaten at St James's Park by Newcastle at the end of January. And in the previous 17 games they've won 16, and of course that draw against Tottenham where they've dropped points, but 3 points today would take them ahead of Liverpool, the only side in the Premier League with a 100% winning record. As here is Aguero, nice touch by Aguero. Oh, the finish was superb. Oh, in fact it was better than superb, it was outstanding. Right-footed, curling top right-hand corner. His first touch set it up, but that was just sheer class from Sergio Aguero, a goal machine.
Outrageous finish. Oh, it was a sublime. The play again with him and David Silva. He knows what it is. He takes his touch on the edge of the area out of his feet. He curls it right in with pace and power right into the top corner. It's an absolute worldy strike.
And he's only now 1 goal away from another hat-trick, and in fact that would be a record 12th Premier League hat-trick for Manchester City. Sergio Aguero, absolutely superb, leading Brighton now by 3-0. Goal at West Ham, Henry Moran.
West Ham 2, Norwich 0. Andrei Yarmolenko with the second goal of the afternoon. He just hit the post with a spectacular volley, and then the Norwich defence again at 6s and 7s just didn't track Yarmolenko's run. He had the space, he finished comfortably, and West Ham lead 2-0.
Accrington Stanley have equalised at home to MK Dons, 1-1 now at the Wham Stadium. Oxford United 0, Coventry City 2 in League One, and Livingston leads St Mirren in the Scottish Premiership by 2-0. So you're up to date, 5 live in the World Service. Well, you think of Sergio Aguero's record, and he has now scored 237 goals in 342 appearances. Frightening.
It's just amazing, isn't it? Do you know, he scores goals like this, and he just puts his hand up as if it's every day. These finishes are unbelievable.
There's a Brighton player down on this near side. I think it's David Proper who's getting Jonathan Moss's attention as he stands over him. He's refusing to let the physio on for the time being. Manchester City then 3, Brighton 0. And it's not as if Brighton have played that badly either, is it?
They haven't, and it's almost, you know, for Graham Potter, it's a free hit. You're obviously thinking you're coming to Manchester City, it's going to be difficult. Why don't we try and play our style? If it comes off for him, he looks exceptionally good. If you get a drum and you almost sort of say, well, we've tried it, it didn't work. We are playing against, you know, one of the best teams in the world.
I wonder if Alan Shearer's sweating in the Match of the Day studios, because at the minute he and Aguero have the joint record of 11 Premier League hat-tricks. Match of the Day tonight at 10:30. You can have your say, of course, 606 Alistair Bruce Ball and Chris Sutton, 08085 909 693. Hearts 2, Hamilton 1 is the latest score in the Scottish Premiership. And we will go to, where shall we go next? Well, we'll go somewhere in a minute. Gillingham 3, Bolton 0 is the latest score, as we'll go to John Southall at Selhurst Park.
Why not? Palace 0, Villa 0. It's all Palace at the moment against 10 men. Villa, Luka Milivojevic with a curling 25-yarder. There was Heaton flying to his left-hand side to palm it away. You suspect Heaton is going to have to be good for this final half hour. Palace 0, Villa 0.
Blackpool have equalised at home to Portsmouth. It's 1-1, and news of that third goal for Gillingham from Rob Schofield.
Yeah, Brandon Hanlon's first goal of the season's made it Gillingham 3, Bolton 0. He's just missed 2 huge chances in this second half. Got third time lucky though, got on the end of a low cross from the left. This is running away from Bolton now. They almost just went 4-0 down, but a shot went flying over the bar over the bar from Hanlon again. Gillingham 3, Bolton 0.
He kept me sweating there, didn't he, producer Simon, back in the studio, where I normally go, where should we go next? That's sort of my cue saying I've forgotten, for being such a frenetic afternoon. As we'll go to Newcastle next and Juliet Farrington.
Where Newcastle have gone close to, taking the lead here at St James's Park. 1-1 against Watford, but Isaac Hayden producing a superb save from Ben Foster to tip over for a corner. It's been all Newcastle in the second half. Watford struggling to get out of their own half, and you can probably tell if you can hear the noise levels, that would sense it's going in Newcastle's favour at the moment as they try and get themselves ahead in this game. It's Newcastle 1, Watford 1.
Luton Town 1, Huddersfield Town 1 is the latest score in the Championship, so an equaliser there for Luton at Kenilworth Road. Brighton and Hove Albion playing from left to right, all in black. Out to Bernardo on that far side. Mopé waits for the delivery, but it's not going to be forthcoming. Instead it goes short and in field. Trossard switches play. Montoya keeps the ball in play on this near side, the right, about 10 yards up from the byline, trailing by 3-0 on this sunny afternoon. Here is Solly March, looks up, turns away from Rodri, edge of the area, feeds it to Montoya. Montoya accelerates, manages to cross the ball deep towards the far post. Both Mopé and Bernardo go for the same ball as it drops at that far post. Break on now though for Manchester City. David Silva. The way that Brighton continue to play, they do open themselves up to the possibility that they might concede another one, even two more goals here as they trail 3-0.
Yes, that's the case, but you've got to look as the manager and how he sets them up, and from his point of view they've created good opportunities and not scored them. That is the difference. They had to put the ball in the net, but if they can do that throughout the season, create the opportunities, then they should be okay.
He's not going to abandon his style of play, his philosophy. He's intent on playing the same way, and against lesser opposition you've got to acknowledge the high threshold, the high quality of Manchester City, as the ball is played in low and caught by Edison. Scunthorpe United 0, Carlisle United 1. Scunthorpe, who are bottom of the Football League, are behind at Glanfall Park, and another goal at Priestfield. Rob Schofield.
Gillingham 4-0 up now. Deno, Ollie Lee's second of the game, across from the right this time, and like last time, making no mistakes in front of goal. This is really struggling now for Bolton. Their game's running away from them like it did against Ipswich last week. Gillingham 4-0 up.
You could argue that the result of the week for Bolton Wanderers came off the field this week in the fact that stay of execution and the fact that they were saved. As Manchester City coming forward now with David Silva along the ground to Zinchenko. Sergio Aguero rolls the ball back in field. David Silva to Mahrez. Mahrez able to turn. De Bruyne, Rodri. Crew 2, Bradford City 1 is the latest score in League 2. So Crew have come from behind at Gresty Road. We've been playing now for just over an hour. BBC Radio 5 Live and the World Service from the BBC as Fernandinho finds Mahrez. Walker steaming on the overlap, plays the ball to Walker, in round the back right hand side, looking for the cutback, goes behind. Last touch. It will be a corner kick. He just went into top gear, didn't he, Kyle?
He did. It was similar to the run against West Ham. He timed it well inside of Bernardo. He just had no option. Then he was smothered. That the defensive unit of Brighton just couldn't get anybody in. It was a great run, and unfortunate that there's nobody on the end of it for Manchester City.
Sheffield Wednesday 1, Queen's Park Rangers 1. In comes the corner. Aguero is there, and the little touch from Fernandinho, from Raheem Sterling, in fact, inside the 6-yard area, was just wide and off target. Goal kick to Brighton. So Wednesday 1, QPR 1, Livingston 2, St Mirren 1. St Mirren have a goal back. Accrington Stanley, who are yet to win so far in League One, are now leading MK Dons by 2-1. But Marcus Maddison has found the net once more for Peterborough United as they lead Sunderland by 3-0. And this could be a big scoreline for Stoke City, bottom of the Championship and yet to win. Nathan Jones not having the easiest of tasks in the Potteries, but at St Andrews, Birmingham 0, Stoke City 1, and news of that from John Bennett.
Yes, a massive goal for the Stoke manager, Nathan Jones. Liam Lindsay with a header at the back post, swung in from the right-hand side. Excellent header right in front of the release, Stoke City fans. Stoke deserve it as well. Second half, they've been much improved. Birmingham 0, Stoke City 1.
Manchester City are going top of the table ahead of Liverpool's trip to Burnley. There'll be regular updates into Sports Report and 606. Of course, you can have your say with Alistair Bruce Ball and Chris Sutton. 08085 909 693. But Manchester City looking to make it now 17 wins out of 18 when it comes to Saturday 3 o'clock kickoffs. The exception was just before Christmas when Crystal Palace here stunned them last December. Montoya in the centre circle, forward ball, nice touch by Mopé, and then running into trouble of Rodri, breaks then for Zinchenko, feeds it to De Bruyne, out it goes, that far side. Mahrez on the right, far side the right as they play from right to left. Another try on the rugby, Gareth Lewis.
Yeah, Wales improbably have played themselves right back into this. Ireland lead by 22 points to 17. 2 minutes to go. Wales' second try coming from Rhys Patchell, the fly half who surely has now played himself onto that plane to fly out to Japan next month. He's made a big difference since coming on. A minute and a half now to go. Ireland lead by 22 points to 17.
Oxford United have a goal back at home to Coventry City in League One. Oxford United 1, Coventry City 2 is the latest scoreline. But in the Premier League, remember earlier Southampton 1, Manchester United 1. Further drop points for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Chelsea 2, Sheffield United 1. Crystal Palace 0, Aston Villa 0, but Aston Villa are down to 10 men. Trezeguet dismissed. Leicester City 2, Bournemouth 1. Newcastle 1, Watford 1. West Ham United are leading as well at home to Norwich. And we've got Burnley against Liverpool to come as well at 5:30. Let's get an update in the Championship. Remember, it's 2-0 to West Ham as well at home to Norwich. At Ellen Road, then Conor McNamara.
Chance for Leeds. Eddie Nketiah just on as a substitute, blazes it over the top. For a moment, he thought he was clean through. Good recovery by the Swansea defence. Still a very feisty game, this one. Still Leeds 0, Swansea 0. Teams have made substitutions. Nketiah on for Leeds. Wayne Routledge and Sam Sturridge have come on for Swansea. The top two of the Championship still scoreless.
The only game in the Premier League that is scoreless is at this one. John Southall.
Palace 0, Villa 0, but it's constant Palace pressure. Surely the goal is coming. The latest chance, Jordan Ayew, deflected shot from the D over the bar against 10-man Villa, 0-0.
De Bruyne, just over the top. It was played in by Mahrez on the right-hand side, and as soon as it drops to De Bruyne, he hits it on the half volley, just over the top. Super effort. In fact, did he catch it on the volley? He did catch it on the volley.
He had no right to take it on. We had Mahrez there. It was a cross, and just as he's ghosting into the box, he's actually facing away from goal. He tries to hit it. Really hard technique and blasted just over the bar.
There's going to be a change here for Brighton, and it's going to be a double change. Glenn Murray is coming on. Bernardo is the player who's coming off. While the change is made, let's go to Stamford Bridge. Jonathan Overend.
Still 2-1 Chelsea, but Sheffield United getting their overlapping centre halves into play, and O'Connell a moment to go. The centre back down the left wing, lovely cross near post, and Robinson almost flicked in his second of the day. Sheffield United fancy this. They're 2-1 down though.
And it's also tight at Leicester. Pat Murphy.
It's still 2-1 for Leicester, but for the third time in this match, Jamie Vardy is charged down an attempted clearance by the Bournemouth keeper Ramsdale, and yet again the keeper got away with it. And Tielemans may have got away with it. VAR, possible red card. Ankle injury suffered by Callum Wilson, but the VAR system reprieved Tielemans. Leicester 2, Bournemouth 1.
Sheffield Wednesday 1, Queen's Park Rangers 2. Jordan Hugill has got both goals as they've come from behind at Hillsborough. Walsall 1, Grimsby Town 2 as the latest score in League 2. And just to tidy up that double change that Graham Potter, the Brighton manager, has made, Aaron Connolly coming on for Bernardo. Glenn Murray replacing Neil Mopé. They're the changes that have been made. Aaron Connolly, who scored his first goal for the club. It's only his third appearance for Brighton and Hove Albion. So Connolly, Irish under-21 international, quite short, diminutive figure, quite stocky actually as well with his short dark hair, and Glenn Murray as well. So they've gone with two up front, it seems, at the moment. Back to Stamford Bridge, Jonathan Overend.
Far from over this, Ian. 2-1 Chelsea, but another chance for Sheffield United. And if you listen to the spectators inside the stadium, 40,000 of them, it's the visitors from Yorkshire who believe. That was Norwood, his shot saved by Kepa. 2-1 Chelsea.
De Bruyne tries to roll the ball into the path of either Mahrez, who is joining the attack, and Aguero, but instead it's turned behind for a corner kick. Manchester City lead 3-0, and they have a corner as they threaten more goals. Luton Town 2, Huddersfield 1. So Luton have come from behind at home to Huddersfield in the Championship. The corner kick is taken short. It's rolled into David Silva. Back towards De Bruyne, edge of the area. Left-footed ball into the box. Aguero with an ambitious volley where the angle was very acute. Over the top, goal kick to Newcastle. Juliet Berrington.
Where Watford are in possession, but it's been all Newcastle in this second half, and you sense a goal could be on its way for the home side. They've been so much better. Cher got them level at the end of the first half. Atsu and Hayden closest in the second. Watford look like they're going to make a substitution. It's Newcastle 1, Watford 1.
Kevin De Bruyne getting a standing ovation as he will make way for Gundogan. His name reverberates around the Etihad. It has been another very, very good performance from Kevin De Bruyne, who set City on their way with the opening goal after 71 seconds. Full time in the rugby, Gareth Lewis.
Yeah, 22-17, Ireland held on for a win in Cardiff. It means New Zealand go back to the top of the world rankings in rugby. More importantly, with the World Cup in mind next month, of course, Wales and Ireland naming their squads tomorrow. It's probably Rhys Patchell, the Scarlets fly half, who's played his way onto that plane. Really strong second half, scored a try as well as part of that Wales comeback. Not quite enough, an Ireland win, 22-17.
Manchester City have just been awarded a free kick, a direct free kick outside the penalty area. Sunderland losing 3-0 at Peterborough and now down to 10 men. Luke O'Neill has been sent off there at London Road. There's a player down, it's Trossard, who is down for Brighton. I think he just got a little bit of a kick, and he's going to get some treatment, which enables us to go to West Ham and Henry Moran.
West Ham 2, Norwich 0 is the score. The Olays ringing around the London Stadium. West Ham supporters really enjoying their afternoon. Yarmolenko's goal in the second half has really added an air of safety to this performance. Norwich haven't offered an awful lot. Yarmolenko's just come off the field of play, and so far this afternoon, well, those fears for Norwich have been confirmed. Defences look shaky. West Ham 2, Norwich 0.
So Crystal Palace, the last team to win here, December the 22nd, when they won 3-2. 15 games since, well, this is the 16th, and you think that in that time, in the 16 games, Manchester City have so far rattled up 60 goals and only conceded 8, and 5 of them were against Tottenham. They are going to go back top of the table. But before the free kick, there's been a goal at Selhurst Park. John Southall, deadlock broken.
Yes, it's been coming. Palace 1, Aston Villa 0. Really good goal from Jordan Ayew on the left of the penalty area. Squeezed between two defenders and finished into the bottom right-hand corner. Great finish for him. 2 in 2. Palace 1, Villa 0.
So Manchester City, with a 3-0 lead, have this free kick. After this, we're going to go to Turf Moor with the team news of Burnley against Liverpool. It'll either be Gundogan with his right foot or Mahrez with the left. It's fractionally left of centre, just outside the penalty area. It's Gundogan, it's over the top. So at Turf Moor, Burnley against Liverpool. Team news from Alistair Yeomans.
Liverpool are unchanged from the team which beat Arsenal last week. One change for Burnley from the last Premier League game. Lennon in for the injured Gudmundsson.
Regular updates from Alistair, Intersports report that will bring you all the reaction from all of the games. And then 6:06, Stevenage 1, Macclesfield 1. Stevenage have equalised. Goal now at Leicester, Pat Murphy.
Another one for Jamie Vardy and Leicester. Lovely bit of intricate work involving Maddison and Tielemans. Vardy diverted it cleverly past the keeper. They deserve this. Leicester 3, Bournemouth 1.
Brighton are going to make a third and final change. Pascal Gross is going to be coming on. So you think in the Premier League, West Ham have a 2-goal cushion, Leicester have a 2-goal cushion, Manchester City are comfortable here, Newcastle 1-1, that's tight, Palace lead Villa by 1-0, Villa are down to 10 men, and Sheffield United still not giving up at Chelsea as they trail by 2-1. What about in the Championship? Top of the table, Leeds Swansea, Conor McNamara.
80 minutes to play, 0-0 between the top two, but Leeds have come so close to breaking the deadlock. Pablo Hernandez probably took one touch too many in the penalty area, ran out a bit of room, brave defending by Connor Roberts, though, throwing his body in the way to block the shot. And there's been a change as well. Leeds have brought on Helder Costa. Leeds 0, Swansea 0.
Ipswich Town 3, Shrewsbury 0. Hearts 2, Hamilton 2 in the Scottish Premiership. You're up to date. Brighton coming forward offside on the left-hand side as they play from left to right. Solly March. Michael Brown, haven't heard from you for a while.
Well, it's again another change we're just about to see. I mean, City are in control, just moving the ball around, and it is comfortable now. That's the thing. Once the game goes flat, Brighton run out of a little bit of steam and making the substitutions, trying to get a reaction, trying to get themselves a goal to give them something out of this game.
Never won away at Manchester City in what will be 10 attempts, as the player who's coming off is Trossard, and Pascal Gross will come on to replace the Belgian, who was signed for £15 million from Genk in the summer. So Pascal Gross is on as Brighton still try and press. Edison, though, will clear, all in yellow away to our right. Dan Burn, though, on the run, volleys the ball. Nice little touch, though, by Manchester City and Gundogan, who drags it back then to Aguero, who scored 2 goals. De Bruyne got the other one. Manchester City lead 3-0. On that far side, it's Mahrez, as the shadows of the main stand are probably now within 12 yards of that far touchline. So most of the pitch is in shadows on a bright day as they give the ball away. That was sloppy. Otamendi to Connolly. Can he combine here? As maybe this is an opportunity to give the ball back towards Connolly, but in the end it was Pascal Gross who couldn't find him. And they are the opportunities that we've been talking about when you're talking about that touch of quality.
Well, it is about that touch of quality, the mistakes they're making. They're giving Brighton too many opportunities. You see Pep Guardiola gets very frustrated. That's, even at 3-0 as a player, you're looking, thinking, I don't want to give the ball away. He's watching, he's going to be on us. And that's the difference. Perfection is what he demands.
15 minutes remain of normal time here. 5 Live and the World Service. We'll keep you in touch now with the latest scores around all the various divisions, whether we've got reporters there or not. So result in the Premier League earlier: Southampton 1, Manchester United 1, Chelsea lead Sheffield United 2-1, Crystal Palace lead the 10 men of Villa 1-0, Leicester 3, Bournemouth 1. Here it's 3-0 to City. Newcastle 1, Watford 1, West Ham 2, Norwich 0. Burnley against Liverpool. Liverpool are unchanged. The result in the Championship: Bristol City 2, Middlesbrough 2. Good result for Jonathan Woodgate's side at Ashton Gate. Latest scores in the Championship: Birmingham 0, Stoke City 1, as the cross is caught by Ryan in the Brighton goal away to our left-hand side. Brentford 3, Derby 0. Derby, I don't think, have actually won since the opening day. No, they haven't. In the Championship, at least. 3-0 down at Griffin Park. Leeds and Swansea's goalless, as we've heard from Connor. Luton 2, Huddersfield 1. They've come from behind there, Luton. Millwall 1, Hull City 1. Nottingham Forest 0, Preston North End 1. Reading 0, Charlton 1. Charlton still going strong, still unbeaten, Lee Bowyer's team. Sheffield Wednesday 1, QPR 2. They came from behind the QPR. West Bromwich Albion 3, Blackburn 2. Wigan against Barnsley is goalless. They're the latest scores in the Championship. As Brighton play the ball out to Webster, formerly of Bristol City. Back to Ryan, and the goalkeeper comes under pressure from Aguero, who's inside his 6-yard area. In the end, it was a hurried clearance, and then it's out towards Burn on that far side. And a tall, lanky defender plays the ball inside, and Brighton tidily keep the ball in their own half. Latest scores then in League One: Accrington 2, MK Dons 1. That could be their first win of the season in the league. Wimbledon 0, Wickham 0. Blackpool 1, Portsmouth 1. Simon Grayson still unbeaten whilst he's returned to Blackpool for a second spell. Burton 0, Bristol Rovers 0. Gillingham 4, Bolton Wanderers 0. Ipswich 3, Shrewsbury 0. Lincoln City 2, Fleetwood 0. Lincoln returning to winning ways. Oxford 1, Coventry City 2. Peterborough 3, Sunderland 0. Rotherham 1, Tranmere Rovers 0. Southend United 0, Rochdale 2. Southend, who've lost all 5, might well be 6 straight defeats for Kevin Bond at Roots Hall. And just to think they're in such a good position at Wickham last weekend. League 2 then, latest scores: Crawley 0, Cheltenham 0, Crewe 2, Bradford City 1, Exeter the leaders 1, Mansfield 0, Forest Green 0, Newport County 1. Raheem Sterling in the penalty area, smothering the ball quickly off his goal line to side, at the save at the feet of the England international was Matt Ryan. So Forest Green 0, Newport 1, Northampton 3, Plymouth 1. Oldham 0, Colchester 1. Port Vale and Cambridge is goalless. Salford City could return to winning ways as they lead through that Richie Towell goal against Leyton Orient. Scunthorpe still without a win, bottom of League 2, trailing at home to Carlisle by a goal to 0. Stevenage 2, Macclesfield 1, could be their first win of the season. Swindon Town 3, Morecambe 1, and Walsall 1, Grimsby Town 2, as Raheem Sterling is going to come off the field of play. No, it's not. It's going to be David Silva who's going to be coming off. It was Raheem Sterling who walked to this near side, but David Silva makes way for Bernardo Silva, as there's been a goal at Birmingham. John Bennett.
Yes, Stoke's lead lasted just 15 minutes. Birmingham won, Stoke won. The equaliser for Birmingham from Lukas Jukovic, cross from the right-hand side. Excellent header at the back post. The 14th goal Stoke have conceded this season. Birmingham won, Stoke won.
Every time you see David Silva play, you just want to take it all in, because this will be his last season in the Premier League. And what a player he has been. As Aguero to Bernardo Silva. First touch for Bernardo Silva. It's to score. What an impact from Bernardo Silva as Manchester City, formidable once again at home, rattle in a fourth, an emphatic victory. It's Manchester City 4, Brighton and Hove Albion 0. And we're going to Reading. Sahel Sahi.
Where Charlton are about to take a penalty. They're leading Reading by a goal to nil. It's Lyle Taylor standing on the edge of the area. Chuck Sanika was brought down. Referee pointed to the spot. Up steps Taylor. He's walking towards the ball. Right-footed. It's 2-0 to Charlton, and they'll remain unbeaten, Ian. Reading 0, Charlton 2.
Charlton, who were third this morning, have now a cushion at Reading. Remember, Leeds United 0, Swansea City 0. Nottingham Forest have equalised at home to Preston North End. It's 1-1. Motherwell 2, Hibs 0. And Bernardo Silva with a fourth goal 11 minutes from time.
Well, he came on, his first touch was good, his second was better into the far corner, but what about Sergio Aguero? He's on his hat-trick, the goal opens up, he could be selfish and shoot, he doesn't, he's a little reverse pass, slides Bernardo in, and the rest he did fantastically well. And watching that celebration between them, proper team, great giving your teammate that little goal when he comes on the pitch.
Sunderland losing 3-0 at Peterborough are down to 10 men. Charlie Wyke has been sent off, so woe on Weir side. What about Tyneside? Juliet Farrington.
Well, Newcastle have been oh so lucky. This game is oh so poor. Isaac's success so close as well to Watford retaking the lead. The substitute with a downward header, Dubravka, managed to tip away for a corner. Such lack of quality in this match, but it's still Newcastle 1, Watford 1.
In fact, they're down to 9 men, aren't they, Sunderland? Because Luke O'Nien was sent off earlier, so Sunderland down to 9 men as they trail at London Road. There's been another goal at Birmingham, John Bennett.
And Stoke City's season going from bad to worse. It's Birmingham City 2, Stoke City 1. 2 goals in 3 minutes for Birmingham. The second from Jude Bellingham. An awfully big deflection as well. Rotten luck for Nathan Jones, the Stoke boss. Birmingham 2, Stoke 1.
Walsall 1, Grimsby Town 3, latest score in League 2. Another goal at Priestfield, Rob Schofield.
Gillingham 5, Bolton 0. Bad to worse to terrible here. Own goal fumbled in at the back post after a looping cross. Third game in a row now that Bolton in League and Cup have conceded 5. They're just waiting for this final whistle now. Gillingham 5, Bolton 0.
Rotherham leading Tranmere by a goal to nil. Rochdale have got a third at Southend United. Southend 0, Rochdale 3. Kevin Bond seeing his side slump at home again at Roots Hall as Brighton trailing now 4-0. Let's get an update from Stamford Bridge as Jonathan Overend is watching.
Yeah, and it's still very close. Pouring rain in West London. Chelsea 2, Sheffield United 1. Another chance for the Blades. Deflected Stevens shot, saved by Kepa. Zuma header over from a corner at the other end. And Billy Gilmore, the 18-year-old, on for his Chelsea debut as Tammy Abrahams is replaced. No hat-trick for him. 2-1 Chelsea.
Stevens with the cross. Gross tried to take it on his right foot, but it was above waist height. It's probably around chest height, and he just couldn't get over it, much to the amusement of the Manchester City supporters, who, leading by 4 goals to nil, attack through Raheem Sterling and then plays the ball out, and Kyle Walker is quickly on the attack on that far side, the right, as Manchester City play from right to left. Let's get an update. West Ham Norwich, Henry Moran.
Skies darkening above the London Stadium. West Ham 2, Norwich 0. We've just seen a remarkable save from Tim Krul in the Norwich goal. Lanzini's header looked to be going in, but somehow Krul stuck an arm up, tipped it over the crossbar. Well worth watching on Match of the Day this evening. West Ham 2, Norwich 0.
Thank you, Henry. Match of the day tonight at 10:30. Sports Report on its way with Mark Chapman. Here is Aguero midway through the Manchester City half. 4-0 for Manchester City. As Zinchenko. Rodri picks out the run. of Gundogan looks to go round the goalkeeper. He's forced out wide on the left-hand side. Bernardo Silva and Sterling Wade in the penalty area, held up by Byrne and held up sufficiently, as that looked like use of the arm by Fernandinho. Indeed it was, and that will be a free kick to Brighton. So elsewhere we know it's Chelsea 2, Sheffield United 1, Crystal Palace 1, the 10 men of Aston Villa 0, Leicester City 3, Bournemouth 1. 1988 was the last time that Bournemouth won at Leicester. Newcastle 1, Watford 1, West Ham United 2, Norwich City 0. Burnley against Liverpool on its way. The fight tonight's on 5 Live. Well, Sports Extra will have Huey Fury against Povetkin at 9:30. 10:30 Luke Campbell against Lomachenko with the team of Mike Costello and Steve Bunce. Sports Week tomorrow from 9 till 10 with Gary Richardson. And don't forget 5 Live Premier League Sunday. Commentary is from Everton Wolves at 2 and Arsenal against Spurs in the North London derby at 4:30. Next week it's the internationals. We'll be at Wembley next Saturday evening for the 5 o'clock kickoff. England against Bulgaria. But Manchester City here leading by 4-0, and they will go a point clear of Liverpool, who will look to respond at Turf Moor. And once again it's the same top 2 from last year who are going to be going at it hammer and top.
It looks that way, doesn't it? As we all thought, the two exceptional teams started very, very well. I hope it's as exciting as it was last season.
Yeah, Manchester City, what was they drop? They dropped 16 points last season. They've obviously dropped points against Tottenham here. Whilst there have been a series of hard chances from Brighton, never ever real in serious threat. Mind you, when you score after 71 seconds, it doesn't necessarily help the away side. As to their credit, they've continued to try and play what Graham Potter, their coach, believes is the right way, as they see a move on that far side eventually go out of play for a throw. Let's get a late update from Ellen Road at the top of the Championship. Conor McNamara.
Just over 6 minutes of normal time to go. Still 0-0 between the top 2, Leeds and Swansea. Swansea had a penalty appeal turned down. Helder Costa's come on for Leeds and he looks really, really good. But time running out. Leeds 0, Swansea 0.
Port Vale, your old side, Michael, are leading Cambridge United by 1-0 in League 2, and Oxford United have got it back level. Oxford United 2, Coventry City 2 is the latest score from the Kessam Stadium in League 1. 5 Live and the World Service. We have about 5 minutes of normal time remaining. A lot of the it's a very sedate pace now, isn't it? I think Brighton would be thinking, well, we've played a good game to a degree in terms. We've only been beaten 4-0. It could have been more. Might have even been less had they taken some of their chances. But there will be positives, I would imagine, for Graham Potter to take from this performance.
Very much so. The way at times of being able to play against the Manchester City press, they've created opportunities. They certainly should have scored, and the team have kept going. And let's be honest, when Manchester City click and they're in gear, some of the finish and some of the movements that we've seen has been so clinical. But, you know, I've been quite impressed with Brighton today.
Motherwell 3, Hibs 0 is the latest score in the Scottish Premiership. Burton lead Bristol Rovers by 1-0 in League 1. Back to the Premier League. Crystal Palace against Aston Villa at Selhurst Park. John Southall.
3 minutes to play. Palace 1, Villa 0. Villa haven't quite given this one up yet. Jordan Ayew's just gone off to a standing ovation, the goal scorer, and Gary Cahill has gone close for Palace. Palace 1, Villa 0.
Let's get a late update from Stamford Bridge. Jonathan Overend.
Equaliser for Sheffield United. How about that? Cross came in from Robinson, and it's Lys Mousset, the second half substitute, the signing from Bournemouth, who's flicked it in. We've only got a minute and a half left on the clock, and as the cross came in from the left, Chelsea were asleep, and Sheffield United thoroughly deserve it. It's Chelsea 2, Sheffield United 2.
Well, you can't get quicker than that, can you, in terms of a goal service on BBC Radio 5 Live. Elsewhere in the Premier League, Leicester City 3, Bournemouth 1, Newcastle 1, Watford 1, West Ham lead Norwich by 2-0. Leyton Orient have equalised at Salford City. Salford City 1, Leyton Orient 1 is the latest score in League 2. Brighton are still on the attack. They trail by 4-0. March with a cross, cut out though by Otamendi. Out of play, it goes for a throw over on the far side. And Mansfield are down to 10 men as they still trail to Exeter, the leaders of League 2, by 1-0. Brighton have a throw, far side, the left, as Some of the Manchester City supporters now just drifting towards the exits after seeing another handsome victory at home. It's a long one. Edison's come off his goal line, headed away by Bernardo Silva, put back in by David Proper, but he half hit that, and Manchester City will break. It was an awkward one to settle, that bouncing ball for Montoya, and he has to go all the way towards Ryan, as Ryan towards Byrne. And Byrne will keep the ball in play, but he's faced by Sergio Aguero, whose search for a record 12th Premier League hat-trick might have to wait. He's scored 2 of the 4. De Bruyne and Bernardo Silva also on target. Kyle Walker stabs it forward. Here is Rodri. Raheem Sterling stabbing it back and showing too much to Montoya, but then he brushes off Montoya and wins it back.
Montoya might need to get in the gym there. Raheem Sterling, extremely strong, just shoved him off and to get the ball back. It's a great work rate from Sterling. We haven't seen the best of him going forward today, but he's been there for his team whenever needed.
That search for a Stevenage victory might have to wait because they've conceded a goal 5 minutes from time at Broadhall Way in League 2. Stevenage and Scunthorpe are the 2 struggling sides. Stevenage 2, Macclesfield Town 2, as Manchester City keep the ball and play it back towards Edison. Chelsea 2, Sheffield United 2, Crystal Palace 1, the 10 men of Aston Villa 0, Leicester City 3, Bournemouth 1, Newcastle 1, Watford 1 and West Ham United might well be getting their first clean sheet of the Premier League this season. They lead Norwich by 2-0. Brighton go back towards Ryan. Solly March deep inside his own half, and the ball is played out towards Montoya. I don't think Graham Potter's hardly moved from that corner of the technical area as he's stood up and watched the game intently from this near side, as Brighton in the second half in all black, playing from left to right and keeping the ball in these closing stages. But the game, well, it's always been an uphill task against the quality of Manchester City when you concede after 71 seconds. As Gross sends over a cross from the right-hand side, flying save by Edison, just to take it out of the path of Connolly. And even now Graham Potter applauding the intent and the enterprise of his team as they win a corner kick away towards our right. Michael Brown.
It was a great move and it was a fantastic ball in. Edison had to be at full stretch, and as you mentioned, Graham Potter there still saying well done to his players, encouraging. He realises where they're at, and it's a long, lonely place for a long time. At 4-0 down, stood as a manager thinking, how do I do anything to change this at City?
Corner kick then over on the far side for Brighton. Played into a crowded area, dealt with by the head of Fernandinho, replacing the injured Laporte in the first half. Back into the penalty box, scooped up by Edison. Back to Stamford Bridge, Jonathan Overend.
We've got 90 seconds of 4 minutes of stoppage time to play here. Chelsea 2, Sheffield United 2. Sloppy second half from Chelsea. They conceded in the first minute of it, and then with 2 minutes to go of the 90. The goal's gone down as a Kurt Zouma own goal, but Mousset will be claiming it for sure. And Sheffield United fans, many with their shirts off to my left, do not care because they're leaving with a point as things stand. 2-2.
Late goal in the top of the table clash in the Championship at Ellen Road. Conor McNamara.
It's surely going to be a last-minute winner, and for the visitors, Swansea, substitute Wayne Routledge, after pinball in the penalty area, kept his cool, slotted it low into the bottom corner. There are 10 seconds of normal time to go. Leeds, are they about to be overtaken at the top by Swansea? Leeds 0, Swansea 1.
Swansea would remain unbeaten. Leeds United would lose that tag as Crawley Town have scored what might well be a late goal and a late winner. Crawley Town 1, Cheltenham 0, Oxford 2, Coventry City 3 is the latest score in League One. And there are 2 minutes of added on time, which we're now into here at the Etihad. 5 Live and the World Service, with Manchester City going to the top of the table themselves, albeit only by a point, ahead of Liverpool's game at Turf Moor. Jurgen Klopp has named an unchanged side for that trip to Turf Moor to take on Burnley. Chelsea 2, Sheffield United 2, Crystal Palace 1, Aston Villa 0, Leicester City, Bournemouth. Let's get the latest from Pat Murphy.
7-minute addition before full time. The only question is now, can Vardy get a hat-trick? He deserves it. He scored 2. It's Leicester 3, Bournemouth 1.
Newcastle 1, Watford 1, West Ham United 2, Norwich City 0. All the reaction to come in Sports Report with Mark Chapman. BBC Radio 5 Live. Manchester City now keeping the ball, as it was 32 Premier League wins last season. They equalled their own record, and once again they're setting a frightening pace along with Liverpool, and there is the full-time whistle. It's finished Chelsea 2, Sheffield United 2 as well, I can tell you, at Stamford Bridge. Brighton certainly contributed to an entertaining game, but 2 goals from Aguero, 1 from Bernardo Silva, after Kevin De Bruyne had given them the lead after 71 seconds. A comfortable win for Manchester City. Michael Brown.
Yeah, it was a comfortable win, and we're just watching Pep Guardiola and the manager Graham Potter embrace each other, and I'm sure Pep Guardiola admires the way he's trying to play. He's actually saying to him, keep up with that style, and it was a nice little touch between the pair of them. But overall, with the quality that Manchester City possess, we've just seen Sergio Aguero man of the match with that sort of finishing. You can't really argue with that. But yeah, they had the chances, Swansea, but then Ederson needed to come into it. He did so it was a great overall performance from Manchester City.
The champions are 18 undefeated in the Premier League. It's finished here at the Etihad. Manchester City 4, Brighton and Hove Albion 0.